Grand Rising, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today. We are going to get started on today's daily collective read in the next few minutes, but if you would like to get on the list for a personal reading today, the list, as always, is open. As always, it is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps. Those are pregnancy and medical, as well as legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. We're also doing 2 giveaways today. Our first reading giveaway is going to be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes. So make sure you're tapping that screen and we will get to 50K in no time. The other reading giveaway we're doing today is going to be a reading giveaway for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the daily collective read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you're participating in that giveaway as well. Prior to beginning today's daily collective read, I will be giving a brief recap on what we've been seeing in the cards over the last few days. If you'd like to find those full readings, you can find them over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find them over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find them as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church and over on my stack. But before we begin today, as we always do, first and foremost, most important question, how are you doing today? There are no wrong answers. We're continuing to move out of the full moon energy that we recently experienced, and I want to kind of walk you through a little bit about what we're seeing right now in relationality to a Libra full moon in Aries season, because it's gonna hit everybody a little bit differently. And I would not be surprised right now if there are things that are effectively really grinding your gears, because one of the things that we need to point out is the ability to effectively move through circumstances and situations to find a better sense of balance. The way that we're able to find a better sense of balance is by recognizing where imbalances lay. And I know that can sometimes be frustrating, right? It can be very enervating. It can really kind of get under your skin. But the important thing about that is when you're feeling like that, it's the observation of being able to recognize and identify what one can do something about. And the thing that we're effectively seeing here, and I think, and this is a culmination, as it were, of, and I like to point this out, sometimes we see this with the lunation cycles, where the lunation cycle itself fits very elegantly into what we're seeing astrologically. And I kind of want to point out, there was something very elegant about this recent full moon cycle, even if it wasn't necessarily comfortable. And let me go into explaining why that is specifically. For the reasons that we effectively identify, we currently have, there's 2 things that I think are having a big impact on how we're feeling right now. The first is the fact that we see that Uranus is beginning to move into the space by which it's going to be moving into Gemini. Now, where is Uranus right now? Uranus is in Taurus, and that's not a great place for Uranus to be, but it's also really important. And why is that? Because Uranus is often the planet that helps us navigate through transformation, okay? It's working through transformational cycles. Taurus, there are many words that I would ascribe to Taurus energy. Transformation is not necessarily one of them, okay? And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because you have to understand that every sign has things that they're energetically good at and things that they could use a little help with, right? And what do we often see with those with Taurus placements? Really good at building into stability, really good at feeling a lot of that heavy weight, if you will, right? So what do we have that's effectively been happening right now? We got Uranus, which is all about transformation, right? There's that transformative energy. and it's moving through Taurus, which is like the opposite of the transformational energy. It's the rigor, right? It's the fortitude. So we've got a lot of that potentially occurring there. And even in the context by which you see it, right? It's hard to change. It feels uncomfortable, right? Change is often the space where you're like, like it's that type of energy, right? It's working through discomfort. But here's the important thing about it, right? When you work through discomfort in a productive way, what do you find on the other side of discomfort? Solutions, right? Breakthroughs, the identification of what effectively makes sense or what it is that one is working through. So we've got that happening. And then on top of that, right, if that wasn't enough right now, we're also experiencing the fact that we've got Jupiter that is in Cancer. And the thing with Jupiter in Cancer, you have to understand, I've been articulating upon this, is, and let this just be a lesson in understanding that just because a sign is in retrograde doesn't necessarily mean it's a bad thing. There are some planets in some houses that when they're going through a retrograde, it's going to be easier. We were seeing that a lot over the summer when Pluto was in retrograde, right? Similarly and simultaneously, what do we effectively see with Jupiter that was in retrograde in Cancer? It's working through the space of the feelings, but not necessarily. It's a little bit easier when that sign work was in retrograde, because when it's not, it can sometimes create the feeling of emotional overwhelm, right? The modality by which we forget that feelings are ephemeral, which mean that feelings, right? And this is often important, and we often see this. Feelings sometimes change, but the sentiment remains the same, right? Because sentiment is sediment. And sentiment is sediment effectively means that often, and when we know ourselves, that's the gift and that's the power of our emotions, right? Like we are able to effectively determine the difference between feelings and sentiment, which is the modality by which, and the feelings that are effectively adaptable and ephemeral, right? They don't get in the way of being able to see the sentiment or the meaning that we have for one another. So this is all very important right now. And we see that for a lot of the energy, basically doing that work, and this is a culmination of a lot of the work that we're also seeing via the relationship cycles. And the reason I was describing that this recent energy was very elegant is effectively, right, a Libra full moon in Aries season is a culmination of a lot of that work, which is the observation of working through, right, navigating through discomfiture to find a deeper comfortability, which is effectively how we find our strength, by being energetically vulnerable, while at the same time, right, working into the context of the ability to articulate between the difference between sentiment, right, the sentiment or the gravitas that we feel versus the ephemerability of our energetic feelings. Now, how is this potentially impacting the energy that we see across the frequency cycles right now? Well, we're going to start first with talking about the energy that is currently in solitude. And these cycles have been going through the experiences that we often see predicated in the world card. And that energetic cycle has been basically happening since about the present and it basically started when we had that Capricorn new moon energy that was occurring around January 18th of this year. Now, these relationships these situations have been working through, I don't want to say situations, but it's actually like relationship situations, like that's actually the reason I'm articulating those two words, is that is the quality and the nature of what it is that they're healing from, specifically because we saw at the start of some of those energies moving into solitude or being in solitude, recognizing the tendency that is only in the modality by which one is able to articulate upon energetic entry. And what do we mean by energetic entry? It's the modality by which we often recognize, right? And I like to describe it, the best way I can describe it is threshold work, right? Because, and this is a continuation point that we see with Taurus in like with Uranus in Taurus, right? What is threshold energy, right? It's working through the modality of feeling something that changes or something that is about to change, but then feeling the energetic wariness that sometimes moves us further away from what it is that we're trying to energetically manifest, right? It's hard, and this often happens with those that aren't truly ready for relationship, because it's the modality or the experience of understanding, right? The ability to effectively embrace change and understanding that relationships change us in profound ways. Then those modalities or experiences by which we effectively navigate our strange feelings as relationships progress, articulate our own ability to be able to be stable within them, right? Because it's recognizing and navigating the strangeness of relationship. Now, the reason this is being brought up here is because one of the things that we saw was a lot of those energies in solitude were healing and recovering from situations or circumstances by which they may feel very unsure or feeling confused as to the nature of a relationship that potentially feels like it's always moving into becoming a relationship, right? There's energy that gets addicted to that feeling, right? Not necessarily being within a relationship, but the sentimentality, right? The feeling of the energetic threshold of partnership, which is the energy that articulates a longing for relationship, but, and the modality by which it starts to form, they move in the opposite, direction because they articulate upon the fact that it feels like they can't energetically take it, right? But the taking is the understanding of the strangeness as one moves deeper into relationship cycles. So this is potentially, I want to describe, this might be a very painful time for some energy that's currently in solitude, specifically because we may be seeing, and this is a combination force of a lot of that sentimentality that we see is being stirred up right now as in relationality to the Libra full moon in Aries season, right? The energy of the feeling that becomes re-inspired because enough time has passed that it feels new again. And another person is confusing newness with sentimentality, right? Versus the recognition of, and at the same time working through the observation of the difference between true sentiment, right? Versus lacquered sentiment. And what do we mean by lacquered sentiment? We were working through also the fact that we see that the mind has a tendency, right, when something is deeply energetically painful, to try to paint sentiment upon it in order to store the memory. So this is a lot of the energy that is in solitude, working through the realm of the feelings, and simultaneously being able to effectively determine the difference between, right, the true sentiment, right, the authentic sentiment, versus the experiences by which, right, versus the experiences by which they see the mind painting sentiment upon something because it's something heavy or painful to energetically deal with. So we've got a lot of that energy there, and it's not necessarily easy, right? There may be a lot of feelings that are being worked through, but the ability to effectively sort through those emotions in a way that feels like it's restorative is what is allowing the energy to feel fortified in their choices. And this is potentially even articulating upon the nature of some of the relationships that are starting at this time, because it is potentially having conversations of the past, but not from a space of longing, but from a state of active energetic reference. Now, this brings us to the energy that's moving deeper into divine union. And we're speaking specifically right now on those moon relationships. Now, the moon relationships were coming together between the time of the new moon in Capricorn that we saw around January 18th up until the time that Uranus first station retrograde, which is around September 6th of this year. These relationships are potentially going through a lot of healing right now. And the reason we see that it's like a lot of healing, it's the healing in terms of recognizing what they're no longer dealing with, is what I keep on getting. And the reason I say that is because, and this is like sometimes when we're reading into the energy, it's very incongruous. It's incongruous right now because we see that for a lot of, and this is why we talk about, for the energy in solitude, the ability to look at the past right now, I feel like there's potentially a lot of exploration that's potentially occurring there. And that same experience is what we see and the moon relationships are effectively closing chapters. And why do we see that those moon relationships are potentially closing chapters? Because they're moving deeper into divine union. And and the understanding, right? The ability to effectively see something, right? The ability to effectively see and identify what was energetically missing in past partnership is what is fortifying a lot of those relationships that are moving deeper into divine union right now. And a lot of that observation or understanding, right? That work that we effectively see and recognize and identify, this is what is potentially allowing the context of those changes to occur, specifically because for a lot of the work that's potentially working through that observation, right? Or working through the energetic impact of things, there's something that we effectively identify that is potentially occurring, that is allowing the energy to recognize and feel energetically affirmed in terms of what it is that they themselves are working in, and that the observation of working into a sense of purpose. And at the same time, as they're working into that sense of purpose, being able to recognize and feel a relationship that has the capacity to hold the magnitude of the person, right? Not feeling energetically segmented in terms of not being able to be the authentic self, but finding a framework by which they can be in a relationship, by which they can be in their full authenticity. There's a lot of healing that's occurring there. And at the same time, there's a lot of feelings that are potentially being energetically released, specifically and particularly as it relates to situations and circumstances by which they did not feel that they could be their full authentic self in partnership, or the modality of the fact of healing from experiences by which another tried to articulate that the purpose that they carried was damaging the partnership. Now, this brings us to the relationships that are deep within divine union right now. And these are effectively the relationships that were coming together between the time of that Uranus going retrograde, which is around September 6th, up until the solstice period that we had this summer. For a lot of these partnerships right now, what we're effectively identifying has a lot to do with the experience or the modality of being able to effectively see, recognize, and understand the capacity of being able to identify and recognize what feels like, and this is, I want to describe the hardest energy right now to kind of work through this, because for a lot of those temperance relationships, what we're effectively seeing is, and I want to kind of describe this, having to deal with others' projected anxiety. And what do we mean by having to deal with others' projected anxiety? I feel like a lot of these temperance relationships have a lot of healing to do, like they're working on healing from a lot of experiences by which energy potentially constantly had them in a point of feeling like one had to walk on eggshells, or working through modalities or experiences by which one feels like one can't necessarily do something correctly. And what often happens, right? What often happens in a lot of those experiences is working through, right? It's like I feel like some of those temperance relationships are healing from having to be energetically hyper vigilant all the time. And the reason that we're potentially seeing that is due to the fact, and you want to kind of understand, a trauma space or a trauma environment will create the modality within you of requiring one to be hyper vigilant, because the space by which, and it's a continuation of understanding that the reason we call these the temperance relationships is because they often build into the construct of not wanting to energetically burden others, right? So we see that there's a lot of that hypervigilance there, and we see that there's a lot of that energetic work that they do upon the self. But the observation of often being too hard on the self, right? Or being too energetically critical as they're working towards perfection, we just keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy doing that work, right? It's almost like, and I want to describe it, there's they take very reverential, careful steps upon things, specifically because it articulates the level or the degree of care by which they are working to do things. So we see that for a lot of the relationships doing that work, it's not necessarily easy, but even in the space by which they may sometimes be too hard on themselves, we identify that that's the energy that feels that they're in the supportive partnership. And the reason we see that they're in the supportive partnership is because they're finding that point of appreciation, right? And the understanding, and I like to point this out, appreciation energetically fortifies direction, right? The modality by which we see and understand what that appreciation feels like often creates the space by which we are able to identify and do things even better. So we see that for a lot of the energy doing that work, it may be like, I feel like there's a lot of that emotionality there, but it's not just the fact that there's emotionality, but there's emotionality that is amplified by the observation of the energy that often works to be perfect, but in reminding the self that perfection isn't necessary in the space of trying to do something progressively, right? There's a lot of that, I feel like in a way, in that way, they're healing trauma by letting go of that energetic anxiety about being perfect. Now that is where we find all of the energy prior to beginning today's daily collective read. But if you'd like to find that full reading, you can find it over on the place where we keep the videos. You can also find it over on the place where we keep the photos. You can also find it as a podcast over on my spot at Tarot Church and over on my stack. I would also invite you to head over to my stack to learn more about our next tarot class, which is going to be held on Friday, April 17th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the court cards in the wand suit. If you would like to become part of that tarot class program, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. Now, please remember, it's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've studied prior to beginning the next class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you would like to become and even if you don't become and if you are interested in having a deeper exploration into those classes, you can also become a founding member. Founding members receive over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive, as well as a discounted rate on the entire year's worth of classes. You'll also have the opportunity as a founding member to receive a complimentary mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I try to do in those classes is make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in those classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my Mystic Meditation articles there, which will give you updates on everything we have been seeing energetically in the cards. I just wrote one recently on this full moon energy that we're navigating. Finally, I want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are specifically for each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits. Also, for my students seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey at a discounted rate. I'm also very happy to offer dream interpretation readings, which can be purchased per dream or as a series. If you purchase a series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal to utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and experiences occurring for you in the dream space. But let me know in the comments how this energy is impacting you personally, because it will be different for everyone in terms of how you are receiving it. That said, we are going to get started on today's daily collective read in the next few minutes, but if you would like to get on the list for today, the list as always is open. As always, it is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers, links in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. Guys, we're also at 13K likes. When we get to 50K, I will be gifting a reading back to the collective, so make sure you're tapping that screen, and we'll get to 50K in no time. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much for that beautiful gift. I appreciate it. And just a reminder to those who are joining us across the other sites, if you would also like to get on the list today, all you need to do is send the donation via my tree that has links in it in my bio. Reminder, we read here highest priority messages from spirit, life path, mediumship, dream interpretation, angelic guidance, animal spirit guide readings, pet readings, akashic, and mind body spirit. Rosina, how are you doing today, dear? I hope you are feeling better. Sending you so much support in your journey. How are you doing today, Dada? Happy, good to see you as well, Siobhan. Blessed day to you as well. How are you doing as well, to all who celebrate today? And thank you as well. Thank you for the compliment as well, Bridget. Excellent. I have lots of feels this morning. I understand, dear. Sending you so much support right now. And thank you so much, Avatar, for the gifts as well. How you doing today, Shine? And Grand Rising, hi there, Dada. Good to see you, dear. Blessed day to you as well. Oh, do we have somebody? Okay, so let's talk about that, Danny. Danny, what have you found right now that, I mean, you're articulating upon the fact that it's clear indications that you're articulating upon the fact that you feel that there's something nefarious here. I want to point out, when you articulate the fact that you know, like, are you articulating that you are speaking for Yahshua? Is that what you're articulating upon? Because I need to point out that energy, the fact that you're effectively putting judgment on another, is exactly the opposite of what Yahshua was saying. So I hope that, and again, it's actually really offensive on a day that's meant to celebrate Yahshua, that you're sitting here and you're literally coming into a space of judgment, because that is antithetical to anything that we read in relationality to the teachings of Yahshua show us. So I've got the book right here. I actually feel like today might be a good day for you to go into this book and to study it and to truly understand what those words mean, instead of trying to invoke those words to hurt another person. I deeply hope you find the ability to understand what the words actually say. And I hope you have a better day, because again, on a day of love and peace, the fact that you come in here and you try to spread hate and judgment, where is the source of the evil coming from, my friend? Where is that source of evil that you're speaking to springing forth from? Thank you. How are you doing today? I know, Bridget. It's always the one. It's always, it's the way it goes. It's so it goes, right? It's the way it goes. Yeah, I know. It is ironic. It's so ironic. Oh my goodness. I understand. But Dada, you know what? I need to point something out. You can honor them, right? Anywhere you honor them is your church. You know what I mean? If being in that environment has become a trauma space for you for that moment, it's okay to take time to heal from that. Allow that space to kind of be the space by which you hold their memory sacredly, and sending you support on that journey as well. Thank you, Shag, for the follow. To get a reading, all you do, dear, is send the donation via my tree that has binks in it in my bio. And it's 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers. Absolutely. And true. Thank you for the follow. Absolutely. Excellent. Shag, so I'm going to ask you, it's not polite to be able to continue to ask the same question in the chat. I believe some of those who are here have given you indications in terms of getting a reading. All you need, we're about to get started on a free collective reading. So that's going to be occurring. But if you want a personal reading, all you need to do is send a donation, 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more for non-subscribers. Thank you for being, for honoring the chat space. And Dada, thank you for sharing the live as well. Hope you have an abs. Thank you, and we deeply appreciate when you guys share the live. Again, I need to point out the fact that you're impressing, the fact that you need to tell me. I would actually question whether it's healthy for you to have a reading, because the modality by which a reading is only supportive if it's something that's going to help you. It's not going to energetically fix something for you. So I need you to make sure that you're coming towards me for a reading in a space by which you are feeling energetically stable. And I have to articulate right now, Shag, the way that you're doing so, I'm not necessarily feeling inclined to read for you, because I need to make the discernment as someone who reads as to whether I feel like that's going to be supportive for you. And the fact that you're impressing upon me in that way doesn't make me feel that the reading is going to be helpful to you. Thank you. Okay. Yep, understood. How you doing today, Ryan? Absolutely, Dada. Thank you. Excellent. It's okay. You know what, Shag? I would suggest, I think what you should do right now is I think that maybe you should step away and get yourself some water and hydrate, and maybe come back on a day when you're feeling a little bit more balanced. Okay? Because you're welcome to stay here and have a reading, but I need to point out, we're going to do a free collective, and I hope that that'll help you. But I don't feel like the space by which we read together right now is going to be most supportive for you. Okay? Thank you, and I appreciate you. Excellent. All right, we are going to continue right now. Hi, how are you doing today? Exceptional. Happy to read for you on that if you'd like to get on the list. The list is open. It's 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers, binks in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I don't read for across these apps: pregnancy and medical. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. For those who are joining us across the other apps, we read for here: highest priority messages from spirit, life path, mediumship, dream interpretation, angelic guidance, animal spirit guide readings, pet readings, akashic, mind, body, spirit, love, and aura. If you have information that you feel is relevant for the purposes of our read, you can include that information in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber-only Disco channel in the appropriate channels. We do have a prioritized list today. Anybody who is on the list prior to beginning today's Daily Collective will have first priority in that reading. The first person that we have that was prioritized today is Per. So I will take a moment to see if Per is here. Excellent. And if not, we will continue. Actually, let me double check. Yes, thank you. Oh, actually, I've got Yasmin on the list. That's my correction. Yasmin's on the list. I said Per, but I meant Yasmin. Yasmin, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you would like a general reading or if you have a specific question you would like me to answer. And if anybody else would like to get on the list today, the list is open. It is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Excellent. Excellent. All right, my friends. So it looks like those who are on the prioritized list have not entered yet. So what we're going to do is we are going to get started on today's Daily Collective read. Before we begin, though, we are going to warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide cards here. We're going to count back from 10. And when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the water dragon. Thank you guys for participating. We'll do that again after the next read. And as I mentioned, the list is now open. If you would like to get on the list to be read for once we complete the Daily Collective, you can get on the list. The first person read for each day on the list will always have an additional card in their reading. That said, and thank you, and also please remember that we've got 2 different giveaways that we're doing today. Our first reading giveaway is going to be a reading giveaway when we get to 50K likes, so make sure you're tapping that screen, and we will get to 50K in no time. The other reading giveaway we're doing today is going to be a reading giveaway for the highest gifter between now and the conclusion of the Daily Collective read. So I wish you a lot of luck if you're participating in that giveaway as well. Currently, the first person on today's list is Avatar. In the highest place. So thank you so much, Avatar, for those gifts. I deeply appreciate you. Guys, please remember not to message people promising weird things. Okay. We're getting a lot of those individuals in right now. And for those who are joining us across the other apps, just a reminder that you can get on the list as well today via my tree that has binks in it in my bio. We read for here highest priority messages from spirit, angelic, dream interpretation, past life, mediumship, love readings, pet readings, animal spirit guide readings, akashic, mind, body, spirit, aura, and love. If you have information if you feel is relevant for the purposes of our read, you can include it in the notes when you send the donation. You can also post it in our subscriber-only Disco channel in the appropriate channel. That said, if you guys could do me a favor and share this live right now, I would appreciate it. Make sure anybody who would like to receive this reading is here to receive it. That said, no better time than the present. Why don't we get started? Welcome, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm the Gray Strega, and I'm here to give you your Daily Collective read for today, Sunday, April 5th, 2026. We are going to be doing a harmonic energy update today. We're going to start with the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread. First 2 cards that we're starting our reading on today are the King of Swords in its upright in combination with the 9 of Wands in its upright. So let's talk a little bit about the energy that we are seeing right now. So there's a couple of things that we have to kind of navigate in relationality to coming out of some of this full moon energy that we experienced, working through Libra. Now, we're going to continue to talk about this. A Libra full moon in Aries season can sometimes feel like it wears away at things. But I need to point out, it sometimes feels like it wears away at things in the best way possible. Okay? And there's something about this that was coming through yesterday that I want to reaffirm, which is worn away or polished, right? The modality by which we effectively polish things helps us to be able to identify and recognize the quality and condition by which we effectively move towards naturally, right? And this is what's interesting about it, because, and I want to kind of describe this. There's something really important that often happens, and this is how, right? This is how Aries and Libra energy often come into the modality of becoming energetically perfect upon things, because it's the space by which we do something over and over again, right? Because Aries energy works into the context of burst, right? It's the modality by which we effectively do something over and over and over and over and over again, right? And every time we do it, we feel like we're the energetic worst at it, right? It's like that modality or that experience by which we just effectively repeat something. And every time we energetically repeat it, we feel like there's that ability or that adaptability by which we're trying to energetically perfect upon it. But what becomes beautiful, right, is, and this is what I was talking about with like an Aries, like Aries energy in Libra, because it's working into, like, it's working into how frustration almost feeds into the intuitive process. Because there you are, right? There you are complaining, and you're grabbing something, and you're doing something, and you're articulating upon something, and you're grabbing it, and you're doing it, and you feel like you're doing something hard, or you're identifying and recognizing something. And then, right, like you're doing something over and over again, and you feel like you're energetically clumsy upon it, right? And you work really hard at it. And then one moment, right, one moment to a next, right, the space by which you get over the frustration, and there's all that fluidity, right? There's all that frustration, and boom, there's all that beautiful fluidity that we often recognize or identify that allows us to find a deeper sense of energetic harmony. But the thing about it is, and I feel like this is really important, because this type of energy is very attenuated. And the attenuation point that we identify here has something to do with being able to identify and recognize the space by which we ourselves effectively identify or work through things. And I like to describe this. There's something important there. And I kind of need to work through this, because I feel like this is something that a lot of the energy in solitude is working through. Unhealthy energy always desires to take things out on others, right? And often I like to point this out. It's the self-critique. It's the self-critique that another is not invested in that requires perpetual projection. You know? And this is what's interesting about it. You can usually tell energy that does not have the ability to self-critique, because there's the energy, right? There it is for you. There's the energy that lacks the ability to self-critique. And what do you see the energy that lacks the ability to self-critique do, right? Projecting, right? Like it's all of that energy that often, like I keep on hearing, like the flinging insults, right? The flinging insults on energy that does not know how to navigate situations referentially. And I think that there's something really energetically important there, is what we're potentially identifying and seeing. And a lot of that work that we're potentially identifying is potentially amplified or articulated as it relates to being able to identify or feel and see the shape of, right, our own energetic stabilization. And it's hard too, because I need to point this out, often this type of energy is often sometimes healing as well for those that have too much of a tendency of over internalizing, right? And this is the cycle, right? This is the vicious cycle that you often see, the vicious toxic cycle that occurs with someone that is perpetually constantly projecting versus another that's always energetically over internalizing. And this is why it can sometimes be detrimental when you combine those energetic forces, because it creates a space by which it's identified as toxicity that's perpetual, because it's a perpetual imbalance point in the modality by which, and you see how the energy effectively works into the context of never allowing the space of being able to heal. Because when you have one energy that's constantly not being self-referential and projecting out onto another, and the other that's perpetually in the space by which they're always over-internalizing, right? It often creates, like, I feel like that's like, I like to describe that as, that creates the perpetual state by which you understand that the work that we do to heal ourselves is so important and referential. Because the reason that it's referential is when we hold ourselves reverently, right, we articulate upon the level by which we are working upon something. It's all about identifying what it creates, the healthy ego. And what's beautiful about it is a healthy ego is fortified, right? A healthy ego is fortified in the space by which it understands what it needs to do better, right? Like, do you see how beautiful a healthy ego is? It goes, I know my weaknesses. I know I'm not perfect, like not energetically perfect. There's definitely something that requires work, but you're going overboard, right? That is literally the moment that someone heals, right? The moment often by which another person says, that's enough of that, right? And this is the gift. And I feel like what's beautiful about that for some of the energy in solitude is doing that for themselves, right? That modality of getting too hard and the energy that, like that, right? Because often, right, and I need to describe this, the space by which we facilitate through our intention. When we are intentional, and I want you to understand this, when we are intentional, others see us preciously, right? When we are intentional, there you are, moving intentionally. I want you to imagine that there you are, moving intentionally, and everything we see is you effectively working into the context of effectively identifying and building into the space of being energetically precious, right? The modality by which we understand that our intention makes us beautiful. And when we understand and carry the shape of our intention towards things, it allows us to be able to effectively identify and recognize what it is that we're effectively looking for. So I feel like there's a lot of the energy that's doing that work, and it's not easy, right? It's not necessarily easy, but we identify the reason that it's important is because the import upon which they're energetically placing things is helping them to effectively identify and recognize what it is that they are working towards better in partnership. I also see that this is happening for a lot of the energy that's moving deeper into relationship, right? The modality or the experience of being able to recognize and identify what feels, and I want to describe this for some of these new relationships that are coming together right now. There may be a lot of that, like, I feel like there may be a lot of that work that carries, right? And I want to describe this, and maybe a lot of that work that carries import, right? A lot of that work that effectively identifies and recognizes, right, the force of energetic feeling. And I want to describe this, and with these two cards here, right, like the King of Swords and the Nine of Wands, and it's upright. You know, the King of Swords with the Nine of Wands and it's upright is often working through, and it's like, I want to just, like, the best way I can say this is, there are things like, this is how we can understand the shape of trauma. Like the shape of trauma that we carry is often like, it's not, and this is why there's nothing more toxic than when somebody's carrying trauma and someone says you should just let go of it, as if it was that easy. You know what I mean? Like, as if, oh, I never thought of that before. What a concept. Like, what a crazy, like, do you understand? Like, for like how wild that is to be able to say to someone who's carrying trauma, you should just let go of that, being like, okay, sure, that I'll get right on that, right? It's not about letting go, right? Trauma is being like the ability that we heal from trauma is being able to be informed by the trauma that we carry, right? And so it's understanding and recognizing, right? And I feel like that this could be a lot of experiences by which the relationships are coming together right now, building into informed trauma, which is the space by which they're potentially talking about the past. But they're not talking about the past reverently. They're talking about the past referencely. And in the space by which they're referencing, they themselves are building into a divine union, because it's a modality by which they're not getting, they're seeing the quality in one another, by which they're not gazing upon something with longing, but they're looking forward, right? They're looking forward in terms of what they're searching to find, and they're looking back behind them in the way to effectively reaffirm the difference between what they see ahead versus what it is that they're letting go of. Now this brings us to the energy that is effectively moving deeper into union right now. And for a lot of those relationships, what we're effectively identifying and seeing, and this is bringing us into those, this is bringing us into the, this is bringing us into the moon relationships that were effectively coming together between the time of that Capricorn new moon cycle that we articulated upon, as well as up until Uranus that went retrograde around January 6th, no, September 6th, correcting, between that period. Now, these moon relationships, it was really interesting because reading into these moon relationships, it was hard to see what was going on, but now it's very clear, which again feels very like gives more confirmation by the fact that they're going through a lot of the moon lessons that we see in the tarot. Center card for today's spread, I love it. Six of Pentacles, and it's upright. They're being generous with themselves in ways that they never thought possible, right? The expansive generosity by which they're effectively able to, I keep on seeing, identify and recognize the full breadth of their healing. And I keep on seeing that, like, the full breadth of their healing is they're building into, like, I keep on hearing they've got their arms full of relationship right now. Is what I keep on getting. They've got their arms full of relationship, and the reason I keep on seeing that they have their arms full of relationship is because this is what's allowing them to heal. And this is the energy that is letting go, right? And I want to point this out. Do you see how I said that right now, for some of the energy that is that for some of the energy that's in solitude, it's healthy to look back, because it's not the fact that because it's the energy that recognizes that they're not looking back longingly. They're looking back, they're recognizing the ability to look back upon something referentially, not reverentially. the energy that is moving, the moon relationships right now are effectively building into the context by which they're identifying and articulating upon, right? I feel like I kept on seeing a lot of those feelings, right? Like a lot of those pesky feelings from the past that are coming back up, and then immediately just moving away from them, right? So here we see, like, this is the energy that's feeling like the understanding of the past, and it's fortifying their own energetic direction. So that's what I keep on seeing about the fact that I feel like some of the energy, some of those moon relationships right now are moving deeper into partnership, because they've found a relationship that allows them to be able to see everything, right? Everything is observational in the space by which they're able to recognize and identify what was missing in past partnership. Now this brings us to the energy that is deep within divine union right now. And these are those temperance relationships that we spoke about. So these are the relationships that were coming together between the time of that Uranus went retrograde, which was around January 6th up until the solstice of the summer that we experienced. 2 cards around that, please. Yeah, we've got the Death card. I'm not surprised to see it with the 9. Yeah, the 9 of Pentacles. This is a continuation of what we're seeing right now in relationality to this is all that Uranus energy in Taurus. This is literally these 2 cards in combination. This is Uranus and Taurus right here. You see that? That's what I'm talking about. Okay. And I was talking about this before we started the podcast, because you have to understand, this is why this energy right now might feel uncomfortable, because Uranus in Taurus is uncozy stuff. Okay? Uranus in Taurus, because you have to understand, Taurus is all like the cozy energy, right? It's building into, right, where our comfort zone. Like there's Taurus with their comfort zone. The source of their comfort zone. No. You just got to like that. Like that's how Taurus is with their comfort zone. If you know Taurus energy, like, and then, right, like here comes Uranus going, what if I told you, that on the other side of you letting go of some of that comfort energy, there could be more comfort. I got this wild proposition to offer you, which is what often Uranus moving through Taurus goes through, which says, right, what if I told you that by navigating, like, what if I had this crazy idea? What if I told you that navigating the discomfort, that if you navigate the discomfort, you could find new comfort? I know, but the only way you do so, right? The only way we're able to do that is by moving through the uncomfortability. So I see, like, and that's what I keep on getting right now. It's gentle, right? It's gentle energy. And when I say it's gentle energy, I keep on getting like small changes that allow, like small changes that allow for refined growth, small attenuation points that allow for things to expand even deeper. So we've got a lot of that type of energy there, but I even see that in the modality by which, right, the modality by which the energy effectively works through things is what is effectively allowing for the understanding of energetic expansion. So I just keep on getting that there's a lot there, but even in the space by which it's a lot, like I feel like this is the energy. These are the energies deep within divine union that are learning to be gentler with themselves, right? And that, I keep on hearing, that is the gift, because it's allowing them to be able to do something. I keep wondering, it's allowing them to do something in a way by which they're effectively like work. I keep on hearing carefully and conscientiously, but steadily is what I keep on getting. Continuing to get clarification between our King of Swords and its upright with that Nine of Wands and its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with the Page of Wands in its reversal. So let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit about that Page of Wands in its reversal. Well, we're moving back into the energy in solitude. And the thing about what we're potentially observing with the energy in solitude, and I want to describe this. There's something energetically important there that I keep on seeing, that's recognizing and identifying what it feels like, how it feels to be able to, how do I describe this best? The shape by which we energetically attenuate for things is how we energetically celebrate things. And the reason that I articulate that is because, and I just want to kind of point this out, there's something significant there, as it relates to honoring energetic choices. And what do I mean about honoring energetic choices? The space by which we identify and articulate upon choices is the space by which we effectively, is the space by which we care for one another, okay? And this is really significant because I keep on seeing the force of care, right? And this is why you have to be very conscientious. This is why you have to be very conscientious when others, right, when others, like there's something I keep on getting about, and I need to stress this because this is something that's really important that potentially I see is happening, or something that is being articulated upon in relationality to energy that is in solitude. And specifically what I'm seeing there has to do with the fallacy of assuming things. And what do we mean about the fallacy of assuming things? It is very dangerous to make assumptions into things, okay? Because often, right, often in the space by which we make assumptions, right, the assumptions that we energetically make can often articulate upon the fact that we don't understand the full depth of something that is energetically occurring, right? And so this is why I like to describe, I feel like this is the energy in solitude that is being patient in ways that they've never been patient before, because, and I keep on seeing this, the modality by which, and this is really beautiful to see with Aries energy, like Aries energy in Libra. And I want to describe this, and sometimes we have to just see this, because, and this is why I keep on seeing in a way that this is why this energy right now is so healing to those with Aries placements, because at times, right, when you're working towards balance and things are coming at you, like, and this is the hard thing with like Libra with Aries, things are coming at you like rapid fire. It can often feel like the frustration we feel in those moments can sometimes feel like we ourselves want to effectively like build into the context of our own frustration, but the ability to effectively find a deeper sense of resolve is the best way I can describe it. And the reason that we articulate upon resolve is resolve is what we find when we find the capacity to move through our frustration, right? And you'll often see that, like you'll see, and here's the thing about it, when energy does not know how to handle their frustration, then energy is constantly, like, that's what we talk about with frustration. Frustration is the force within you that gets in your own way. You know what I mean? Because often the frustration upon things makes you desire to effectively end. Like, do you ever notice that? Like, do you see what I mean? Like, it's the frustration. Like, frustration is like the energy that often the unhealthy ego brings forth in terms of not wanting to learn something, right? And being like, you know, why'd you, because you'll often see this with energy that's frustrated. Why'd you do that? I was frustrated. Okay, good. Did that move you to where you were going? No, but it felt good. Okay, it felt good. Oh look, the unhealthy ego, like let a little frustration go. But and I want to stress this, right? Frustration becomes resolve, right? Frustration becomes resolve when it moves into something even more beautiful, right? Like, that's what's like, this is why we have to honor our frustration, because, and this is the thing about it, frustration often arises when things become unfair. But then if things are unfair and you release frustration, then you've effectively given the unfairness what it effectively desires, in terms of recognizing that that unfairness feeds off of frustration, right? But unfairness dissolves under resolve, right? When you encounter unfairness and you feed frustration, when you feed frustration to unfairness, then you're effectively feeding into the unfairness of things. But when you energetically encounter unfairness and you feed it resolve, that's the force that allows everything to energetically change. And when you recognize the fact that unfairness feeds off of frustration, then you start treating your frustration more carefully, right? Because that changes everything. And I see that for a lot of the energy, doing that work, that observation is what is helping them to effectively heal from situations that potentially frustrated them, that they did not understand why they were frustrating. Like, I literally see the healing coming through and being like, oh, I was so frustrated. Oh, unfairness feeds off of frustration. Like the energy. Ta-da! Like the energy. Like, there's the closure, right? There's the energetic closure that you need, and understanding, right? Understanding, right? Like, understanding the point by which, like, everything changes. And when you start taking that frustration and moving it into resolve, right? Then there's restoration there, right? There's the capacity by which anything is energetically possible. So I feel like there's something really important about that. And I feel like that's either some work that's happening for the energy and solitude within, but also the observation of being able to recognize or identify. I feel like that is what's carrying the healing in terms of what another is experiencing in building new relationships. Continuing the clarification for the moon relationships right now, 9 of Wands in combination with 6 of Pentacles in its upright. We've got the King of Pentacles in its reversal. And I think that there's something, I feel like there's something important. I feel like there's something important there for the, like, man, like these moon relationships, like I keep on seeing, like, this is the energy. Like, they're seeing things in ways that they've never seen it before, but they're also feeling like, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this time period between now and the new moon, there's a lot of deepening of energetic commitments that's occurring, is what I keep on seeing. Because some of these moon relationships, and I keep on seeing, it's going to feel like, it's going to feel very quick, but I feel like I keep on seeing it's not quick, it's steady. And the steadiness that's potentially arriving in those experiences and circumstances is the energetic arrival in relationality to, right? It's the arrival in relationality to understanding and recognizing what it feels like, and this is what I mean. Remember how I said they're moon relationships? Because they found a relationship that holds the capacity to hold all their phases, right? And this is what I keep on seeing. That's why I see a lot of those moon relationships potentially deepening, because it's the modality by which, right? The modality by which the energy is effectively finding relationship where it doesn't feel, right? They don't feel like they have to be, right, one modality or another, or they have to effectively abandon one's own purpose, like one's purpose in the space of being within the partnership. But the partnership that potentially fully embraces and expands upon all, I keep wondering, all of the facets of the person, that allows for the, like I keep on saying, allows for the point of energetic stability. And we keep on seeing a lot of that stability that's potentially occurring has to do with the energy that effectively is feeling like that. I feel like that's the conversation they're having with others as it relates to the fact that they're deepening into those relationships. Now, this is bringing us to the temperance relationships, moving back into the Six of Pentacles in its upright with the Death card. Can I get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Two of Wands in its reversal. And I keep on seeing right now, there's something important I'm identifying with the Two of Wands in its reversal. And the Two of Wands, in its reversal here, the best way I can describe it is, and I want to kind of articulate this, the state or the nature by which another person effectively, the state or the nature by which another person effectively works through the understanding or the amplification of identifying or building into energetic stability is often amplified and articulated upon what it is that we ourselves are able to energetically, like what we ourselves are able to effectively predicate upon. And I feel like there's something, really important there. And the reason I want to amplify the fact that there's something there that's energetically important is it's because it's working through the observation. It's working through the observation of, how do I describe this? Like, and the best way I can try to attenuate this, and I want to, like, the best way I can see this is when we're working through, this is continuation of the fact that we currently have Venus that is currently moving into, Venus is currently in Taurus. And the thing about Venus in Taurus that we have to effectively attenuate upon is it's the observation of being able to effectively try to energetically heal things. And in the space by which we effectively try to work to heal things, then often there are things that we're working to heal that are under the surface of what is observable that needs healing. Okay? Now this is important because, and that's what I meant in relationality to the attenuation point of what it actually means to heal from something, because I need to stress this. There's something that's potentially happening right now. I want to stress this for some, I need to point this out. This is really important because it's coming through very specifically. For some of the energy that's currently deep within divine union, I feel like there could be the modality by which others don't necessarily understand the energetic choices that one is moving through. But I keep on getting this. When one is navigating, and I need to, like, this is going to sound I know that this is going to sound a little bit, I feel like the energy in temperance is going to understand this. Often the surface wound of things isn't the source. Sometimes the surface wound is not the source of the hurt, right? And the space by which we treat the surface wound sometimes energetically worsens things if we don't get to the source of it, is what I keep on getting. And I feel like that, like, there's something about that in relationality to understanding, right? Like, that's the type of healing that I see that is occurring right now for some of the energy, the temperance relationships, which is not addressing, right? It's not working through the surface wound. It's working into the context of the deeper issue, is what I keep on getting. The deeper issue that often, right, and I keep on seeing sometimes creates the space by which something feels like it's energetically worse, but often is the identification point of something healing, is what I keep on getting. Now, continuing to get clarification on this, and we're going to move. We're going to get back to that, but we're going to move back into the energy that is in solitude. Clarification between our Death card in its upright and the Nine of Pentacles in its upright is the Five of Swords. Now let's talk a little bit about the Five of Swords energy here, because the Five of Swords, and I feel like this is also why it's in, like, I feel like there's something important here that's also occurring right now for the energy that is deep within divine union, but also it's also the same message that I see that's happening for the energy that is in solitude, because what we're effectively identifying that is potentially occurring in the space of, right, in the space of that Five of Swords. And I want to kind of point this out for a lot of the energy that is in solitude right now. The space by which we understand and work through things, and I keep on seeing this, I feel like there's some type of energy that is in solitude right now that is working through the fact that they themselves are healing, and another person is trying to articulate that they're being cruel, is what I keep on seeing. And I want to stress this because I want to kind of point out what we're potentially seeing right now for some energy in solitude. There is energy that articulates the fact that they desire partnership, but they don't effectively understand they don't work into the context of the nature of understanding the energetic rigor that is required to be able to work more deeply within it, is what I keep on seeing. So a lot of the energy that we're potentially seeing right now in relationality to some of these experiences, and I want to kind of articulate this, the modality by which the energy is healing by letting go of others' opinions in relationality to bringing the right things to a healing journey, right? And I want to point this out because this is often how toxicity leverages healing journeys in order to perpetuate further toxicity, right? If another person is in the modality by which they're constantly verbally hurting someone, they might try to articulate the fact that they say, it's good to talk about things, but it's not, right? It's not necessarily good to talk about things in the experience by which another person isn't inclined to discuss it. Similarly and simultaneously, the modality by which another person potentially articulates into the experience or into the energetic journey by which they themselves are able to amplify and articulate upon what is effectively identified as significant. I just keep on seeing that for a lot of those relationships, potentially working into the context of the adaptability of working through energetic adaptability. These are the relationships that are profoundly healing at this time. And the reason that we see that they are profoundly healing is because they are building into the context of being able to energetically observe that the work that they're doing is hard right now, specifically because, right, the modality by which the face by which the work that they're doing to energetically heal upon a past relationship is the space by which another might be articulating that they're energetically cruel because they won't restart it, is what I keep on getting, right? So there's something very important there for some of the energy in solitude. And I feel like the reason that we're seeing that, and this is what's so hard for energy when they're working to heal, right? It's like when you're working to heal, be ready, right? Be ready for another person, be ready for another person to articulate that you're being cruel, because it's not the fact that you're being cruel, it's that you're working energetically intentionally as it relates to what you understand is energetically best. So I feel like that's what's important about some of those experiences, specifically and particularly, because I see the energy that is getting more, and they're not only are they healing, but they're getting, they're working through the modality by which they feel energetically comfortable with another person misperceiving them, because it's the observation of the misperception that is allowing them to effectively identify and recognize to another, right, what their energetic stated intention is. So I feel like there's something there that is really important, and a lot of that importance that we're potentially recognizing and identifying has a lot to do with the observation of honoring one another's choices. And I keep on seeing that those are the relationships, the energy that's in solitude, that are honoring their choices in ways that they never, in profound ways, in ways that they never have before. And in the space by which they do so, right, that is literally the shape of them effectively healing. And not only are they healing, but they're moving into new relationships by which they're articulating the energetic complication of having to make those choices in the first place. Now, this brings us to the energy that is moving deeper into divine union right now. the Page of Wands in its reversal in combination with the King of Pentacles in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with the Four of Wands in its upright. Now, the Four of Wands in its upright, the thing I want to articulate that we're seeing with the Four of Wands in its upright is, and I want to kind of move back into those moon relationships that we were speaking about. The moon relationships, the thing that we keep on seeing with a lot of those moon relationships is the energetic observation of building into. I keep on seeing the thing about those moon relationships is, I want to describe this, the beauty, like the beauty of being able to navigate situations by being able to facilitate and honor energetic, like the honoring the space and nature by which we're energetically invested in terms of being able to attenuate with the observation of energetic clarity. Now, I want to be very clear about something here, right? Because especially when I'm seeing with a lot of these moon relationships right now, the thing about these moon relationships that I feel is very important is these moon relationships build into the context of being able to see things with clarity, right? Because the ability to effectively see things with clarity allows us to sharpen our choices. And what do I mean about that? For a lot of these relationships, I just keep on identifying this. And these moon partnerships, as it relates to precise choices, the ability to, like, when we create the energetic tableau to be able to work towards being able to understand the full shape of something, then our choices become energetically sharper in the fact that we ourselves are able to navigate situations with a sense of precision. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of the relationships that are effectively working through this was a big hurdle as it relates to past partnership or the fact that they themselves are working to heal from something. Because, I feel like, right, I keep on seeing that for some of those relationships, right, that observation or the experience by which they effectively articulated to another, right, like the state or nature by which they articulated to another, how they themselves potentially felt about something, or the modality by which they themselves are working to heal. Like, I keep on seeing that the past experiences were painful. And the reason we see that they were painful was because they often felt out of place in relationship. And the reason they felt out of place in relationship was specifically as a result of energy that did not want to see the whole person, right? Like the modality of someone, right? It's painful, right? It's painful to be in a relationship by which another person, right, tries not to see the whole of us, or the space by which they effectively feel like they turn away from a part of us. And so that's the shape and nature of what I keep on seeing is happening for some of these moon relationships. It's the observation, right? It's the power and the observation of them potentially going through an experience by way and by which that they themselves are arriving into the adaptability of understanding and building into energetic consistency. But the consistency that they're finding in the relationship is the relationship that allows them the modality to be the full expansion of themselves, right? The modality by which they're able to see all of the energetic facets. And that is almost allowing the context by which they themselves are working upon, right? They're working upon their flourishment in ways that they never have before because the relationship is nourishing them in that way. Continuing to get clarification between the King of Pentacles in its upright and the Two of Wands in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with the Magician card in its reversal. Now, what are we effectively seeing with that Magician card in its reversal? The Magician card in its reversal, and we're going to get back to those temperance relationships. And I got to stress this. Like, I want to, like, give all the temperance relationships, like, a hug right now because, like, I feel like there's something going on with those temperance relationships right now where others might be, like, I want to describe it like others effectively coming into the modality of energetically being critical. There's nothing more, I'll point this out for those temperance relationships. There is nothing, like when somebody allows themselves to be foolish by feeling like they have a prescriptive understanding upon something, it's often the space by which they don't understand the full shape and nature of what is energetically occurring. And I want to just describe this for some of those temperance relationships that are going through this right now, because it's really not okay. And I want to show you, like, especially with this, like, like this Six of Pentacles with the Magician in the reversal, right? I feel like there's some kind of situation by which there's others that feel like they have surface level opinions on things, right? And this is what you can do with a surface level opinion. A surface level opinion is often not the healing thing because it's deeper than that, right? Like it's deeper. And often, right? Like deep issues do not require surface level solutions. And I need to point this out. Sometimes when you're working to heal something, this is why sometimes when you're working to heal something, right? Another articulates and goes, oh, that's not healing, being like, give it a minute. And this is what I mean about like Uranus moving into Gemini, which is the modality by which you have to work patiently on some healing journeys, which is being able to identify and recognize the full shape of energetic healing that's occurring around something that effectively, and this is why often, and this is why, again, when we work through others' opinions upon things, we have to be energetically respectful, but also energetically directional, because that is effectively the shape and nature of what it is. And you'll always notice this, right? You'll always notice this in relationality to those that are like, I keep on hearing the difference between surface level healing versus getting into the state and nature of being able to do real healing is often the space by which you can't, like I keep on hearing, you can't necessarily patch something, right? You can't necessarily patch something in the space by which there's more to energetically explore. And I keep on seeing that for some of that energy, that ability of doing so, right? Like that ability of potentially working through something, I feel like it's interesting because, like, I almost, like, I want to describe it here as like the energy that potentially is working upon something deeper, but the depth by which one has to heal something means that the way that you would necessarily address it is the way others perceive it to be addressed isn't what you're energetically trying to heal. Is like that, it's the best way I can describe it. I hope that makes sense. Continuing to get clarification between the Two of Wands in its reversal in combination with the Five of Swords in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify? I feel like we've got here the Eight of Pentacles. We've got the Eight of Pentacles and it's upright. So let's talk a little bit about what we're seeing with that Eight of Pentacles energy. Because what we're effectively identifying right now with the Eight of Pentacles energy is, and the way I want to describe this is the observation of, and this is moving us back into the energy that's in solitude. For a lot of the energy in solitude, I feel like, and this is what I mean upon some of the energy in solitude right now, we don't heal things, right? We don't heal things by another person articulating how much they are hurting, is what I keep on getting. We don't heal things by articulating to another how much we are hurting. And the reason that I say that is because we don't heal things by observing how much we are hurting is effectively the recognition point of being able to energetically attenuate to, and I keep on seeing this. For a lot of the energy, I feel like there's something about the energy in solitude that potentially is healing from the modality of having to be another's energetic caretaker, right? And here's the thing I have to stress. The modality by which nobody wants to be in an energetic relationship by which it feels like the modality by which they are in the relationship is the space by which another requires, right? Requires them to be there, right? And that's often, right? That's often the shape by which energetic love feels like I keep on hearing the blessing that becomes the energetic burden is when we're not doing the work within ourselves to heal, right? And so that's what I keep on seeing, because I feel like for some of the energy in solitude, simply the modality of potentially recognizing and identifying circumstances and situations by which the past experiences where another person, right? I want to describe this, the state and nature by which, like I keep on hearing, like the space by which another like ends something because they articulate that the relationship is hurting them, right? And then the modality by which they try to articulate the fact that they're hurting in separation, then that can often be the modality by which we understand this, the full nature and shape of the fact that someone is carrying the hurt within them. Because it's the understanding, right? It's the understanding that we don't work, right? And this is what we mean about there's no relationship that will ever energetically fix you, because the modality by which we ourselves work to heal is the difference between, right, the relationship by which we're mutually nurturing each other together, right? And the nurturing in a healthy relationship is always energetically proportional, right? It's the proportionality of nurturing that helps us be able to energetically work and heal through things. And the difficulty that I'm energetically seeing upon a situation or circumstance has to do, right? I literally see a situation by which some energy right now is in, like energy that is in, they're working into the space of being, like finding that sense of beings restored within themselves. And even in the modality by which they're working to build into the space of feeling restorative within themselves, they're feeling potentially modalities by which another person is potentially trying to broadcast to them the fact that they're hurting. But I keep on seeing the fact that another person broadcasts hurt does not heal relationship. Intention heals relationship, right? The ability by which we step forth into our manifestations heals relationship. So we see that for a lot of those experiences, that observation of being able to effectively articulate upon the feelings is what is allowing for the healing to occur. And for some of the energy right now, for some of the energy in separation, like not, I don't want to say, like, here's the thing about it. There's energy in solitude that is potentially healing from energy that feels like they are in separation. Because, and you have to understand, separation is a state of mind, right? The modality by which one feels that one can only be healthy if one finds oneself in a relationship is a fallacy, because it doesn't articulate upon the state or nature of the relationship by which you may find yourself in, right? And that's why we work to heal that, because if you feel energetically separated when you're not in partnership, well, there's the condition by which, right? There's the condition by which you're potentially necessary, you're moving towards relationship with a lack space, right? It's the modality by which you don't, when you're working through that, you don't judge the quality and condition of the relationship that you're moving into. And I feel like that conversation, right? You're just looking for anything will do, right? Like anything will do, right? Like it's the modality by which you understand. And this is why it's so important for us to energetically heal. Because one of the first signs you see when you're healing relationship is the modality by which you build into the context of discernment, right? You're energetically careful. You're energetically aware. And even in the space by which you're energetically aware, it allows the context or the observation of effectively identifying and recognizing what feels energetically fortifying. Continuing to get clarification between and I feel like that's the conversation that some of those new relationships are having as it relates to building into something that is energetically healthy. Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Wands in combination with Magician card in its reversal. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with the Two of Pentacles in its upright. And so what are we potentially identifying with the Two of Pentacles in its upright? So we're going to move back into those moon relationships, because what we're effectively identifying for some of those moon relationships are situations and circumstances. I just keep on saying the space by which we understand and recognize and build into what feels energetically healthy and supportive is often attenuated and articulated upon the sense or the state of energetic nourishment. It's the modality by which we ourselves are able to feel completely whole or complete, or the modality by which we're working into the holistic choices that we feel that amplify our own sense of self. And that's what I keep on getting right now for a lot of those moon relationships, the modality or the experience by which, and I keep on hearing this, like for some of those relationships in the past, it felt like they themselves had to energetically separate from themselves in order to maintain healthy relationship, right? And the modality by which, right, and I need to stress this, the space by which another articulates there's a difference between, and I want to point this out, there's the difference between what we ourselves feel energetically inclined upon, right, which is the recognition and the identification of what feels like we ourselves are working towards, right? The space by which we ourselves are trying to energetically achieve something. And so we see that for some of those relationships, the understanding of building into healthy relationship that amplifies mutual achievement, right? The modality of the achievement that we are striving for and that we work towards that allows the state or space of being able to attenuate towards our own energetic excellence. And so everything that we are currently potentially perceiving there has to do with the definition of the energetic strengthening in terms of the work that we see that is being navigated. And so for a lot of that energy that we're potentially defining upon, everything I keep on seeing is there's a feeling, right? There's a feeling of energetic completion there. And what I keep on seeing in relationality to the completeness that is potentially being observed is the energetic completeness is finding a relationship by which they feel the energetic framework by which they themselves are able to amplify and articulate upon what feels energetically like the summation point in terms of their own sense of amplification. And so we've got, I just keep on saying, we've got a lot of energy there that is potentially working through things. And even in the space by which they're working through it, we see that that is the energy that is amplifying upon their own sense of holistic stability. Now, continuing to get clarification on it between the Magician card in its reversal and the Eight of Pentacles in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with the Seven of Pentacles in its upright. And so what are we seeing right now with that Seven of Pentacles in its upright? The Seven of Pentacles in its upright brings us into the energetic observation, and this is moving us back towards the work that we were effectively seeing for the temperance relationships right now. For a lot of these temperance relationships, the thing I keep on seeing has to do with working through others' projections upon the self. And the thing that's hard when we're navigating others' projections upon the self is often the space or nature by which it feels like another person feels very energetically confident in terms of what we need to do to, like, what others feel that we, like, what others feel is energetically the correct direction, or what often others feel is like makes energetic sense. But this is why I keep on saying that for a lot of those temperance relationships, there's something about navigating through something patiently, because I feel like, and I keep on getting, there's something about the state and nature of those temperance relationships that is building into trusting energetic processes. And what do I mean about trusting? What do I mean about trusting energetic processes? When we're trusting processes, then it's often, right, when we're trusting processes, then it's often the observation of being able to be energetically adaptable. But the space by which we build into adaptability often does not create the space by which we rush into a process, because I keep on seeing a lot of the temperance relationships aren't focusing on a surface level problem, right? Which is interesting, because I just keep on getting, this is why, like, often when you're trying to, like, really heal something and others' opinions don't necessarily feel helpful, because when there's something deeper that one is working to heal upon, sometimes the immediacy in relationality to how others see it is the energetic fallacy point, because I just keep on seeing that that's like, there's a lot of that deeper, like, there's a lot of that deeper work that's occurring. And I keep on getting that when we're building into, right, when we're building into healing from a deeper, like from a more invested depth, then sometimes the observation of what others see isn't the full summary of what it is that we're working to heal upon. And so I feel like that's a lot of the energy that potentially is articulating upon that. And even in the space by which they're articulating upon it, they're finding they're finding a deeper level of healing because they're learning to trust themselves on those energetic processes. Final card for today's spread, between the Two of Pentacles in its upright in combination with the Seven of Pentacles in its upright. We've got the Two of Pentacles in its upright. Now this is wild, and I want to point this out because this is really energetically, this is important because often you'll recognize that I have multiple decks, and that sometimes I do my best to keep the decks energetically separated, but sometimes the decks get meshed, right? So we've got double pentacle energy here. And I want to stress that the fact that we've got a double Two of Pentacles here is really energetically important. And the reason I'm going to articulate upon the import of this is we're going to talk a little bit about, right? We're going to talk a little bit about what we often see or recognize as it relates to healthy energetic, the work that we do, building into solitude that amplifies and articulates upon what allows us to be able to do something even better. Now, what do we effectively see with that double Two of Pentacles here? It's the state or nature by which, and I want to describe this because we're moving back into a lot of the energy that is in solitude right now. For a lot of the energy that is in solitude, the observation of effectively, energetically working through something, but not just being in the state by which they're working through it, but the state by which they themselves are attenuating or building into the understanding of their own, right? Their own, I keep on hearing the energetic cycles within the self that feel like they're restorative versus the ones that they themselves are working upon. And the modality by which they energetically work upon it allows the ability to be able to effectively define and recognize what they themselves are working to heal. And so there's a lot of this energy that we're seeing here because there's an energy that we observe that's occurring as it relates to energetic expansion. And I keep on seeing the expansion point that is potentially occurring in those energetic experiences right now have to do with the attenuation point of being more patient with themselves, because the patience that they're finding are allowing them to effectively build into things more. There's a space by which we see that the energy is healing in a way by which they're thinking about the energetic possibilities, or they're recognizing or identifying into the full perception in terms of moving away from something. And even in the context by which they're moving away from it, they're able to identify and see things with a deeper sense of clarity. And that's why I wouldn't be surprised right now if there's some energy that is in solitude, that's working into a place of solitude, but they're building into healthy relationship with themselves, or they're building into healthy relationship with counterpart. And what are we effectively identifying and seeing on those energetic journeys right now? We see that for some of those relationships, the space by which someone from the past potentially tries to come back, right? Trying to come back to say that they energetically miss someone, right? But I keep on hearing missing isn't healing, right? Missing isn't a manifestation. The space by which another person identifies or articulates longing is not an energetic manifestation goal. It's just the statement of the fact of recognizing where they themselves are. And so this is why we see that for a lot of the energy, right, working into, I feel like there's a lot of that energy that's working into a point of sadness, right? They're working into a point of sadness potentially because they are observing another person's longing. But another person's longing does not make a relationship, right? Another person's longing does not make a relationship because it's the observation that often, right? Often energy that articulates upon longing, right? Like longing is the song, which is the modality by which, right? And you'll often see this with those who haven't navigated their longing right. Like first they energetically long to be within a relationship, and then as soon as they enter one, they long to be without it, right? Because it's a space by which they're in love with their longing, right? Which is the modality by which another person is not working into the desire for a relationship, but more they're in love with the longing of potentially not having one. And so that's what we potentially see is happening right now for some of those experiences, right? It's the observation of potentially observing energy that is overly enamored in their longing rather than building into the observation of energetically like understanding or working through the observation or the experience of building into things energetically determinatively. And that's why I keep on seeing that for a lot of the energy in solitude right now, it's heavy, but a lot of that heaviness that we're potentially attenuating into is amplifying or articulating upon the observation of the experience or situation by which they are effectively looking back upon something with reference, even as they're building into healthy relationship with a sense of energetic reverence. And this is bringing us into the energy that is moving deeper into divine union right now. And what are we effectively seeing for a lot of those relationships that are moving deeper into divine union? For a lot of those relationships that are moving deeper into divine union right now, the state or the space by which we see that the energy is being able to identify and understand a relationship that feels energetically complete because it observes and recognizes or holds all of the facets dearly. I keep on seeing that for a lot of those moon relationships, it feels like a lot of deep invested expansion because what we're effectively identifying there is the expansion that we're potentially finding is amplifying their own sense of energetic strength. And the strength that we potentially attenuate to is the observation of the relationship that is allowing them to heal holistically in ways that they have not perceived before, that's allowing them to be able to effectively see the past, right? Feel the feelings that come up, and then energetically let go of them just as easily. Now, this brings us to the energy that's deep within divine union right now. And I keep on seeing that for a lot of the relationships that are deep within divine union, there's something energetically important there as it relates to being able to identify and recognize what the work, what is needed is the best way I can describe it. And when we're working upon what is needed, then we build into a point of energetic stability. And the modality by which we recognize and identify what is energetically needed allows one to be able to amplify where the energetic work rests. And so I feel like there's something really important about that because, and I want to kind of describe this, there's something that I'm energetically seeing there that feels, right? And I keep on getting this. Stress requires rest. And why do I keep on getting stress requires rest? Because the modality by which we effectively work through things is also the space by which we say to one another, it's okay to energetically rest upon journeys, or the modality by which we energetically rest also allows the context by which we're working through things. And so that, to a certain extent, is almost what I'm seeing there, because there's something there's there's something about the energy deep within divine union where I keep on seeing stress and rest, which is the modality by which we understand that when we allow ourselves the ability to rest, we are like, we're never energetically resting, right? There's something like our rest is an investment in the work that we do, because it's the identification point of allowing ourselves to build into something in a way that feels energetically supportive and healthy. Bottom of the deck on this reading, yeah, particularly with the Queen of Cups in its reversal, you know, there's something in here that I see that's really important. And I want to articulate this, because the energetic, the space by which, and I want to just define this, especially with the Queen of Cups in its reversal, and I kind of like to see this Queen of Cups in its reversal here in this way, because the Queen of Cups in its reversal often amplifies and articulates. It's never like a Queen of Cups is a Queen of Cups, regardless of whether it's in its upright or its reversal. But a Queen of Cups in its reversal, bottom of the deck, often articulates upon a feeling of satisfaction on something, right? An energetic feeling of satisfaction on something versus, I keep on seeing the difference between a feeling of satisfaction is often a feeling of distraction, because specifically it works upon the space, upon another person trying to put like trying to identify something that is energetically harmless that feels harmful. And you'll often notice this, right? Like when we care about one another, then I keep on hearing, when we care about one another, then we hold each other in both hands. And the reason that we effectively identify the fact that we hold each other in both hands is it's the amplification in being able to identify what is energetically needed in situations. And I want to point this out because it has a lot to do with the identification point of what we actually mean when we talk about to turn the other cheek, right? Because the space by which we turn the other cheek is the modality by which we turn away from someone. It's the modality by which we turn away from someone from a point of disgust. It's the modality by which we turn away from someone by a point of effectively identifying and recognizing the sadness as we effectively let go of someone, in the space by which we attenuate into the depth of the hurt that they potentially project on another. And that's why we often articulate the space by which we say that being able to be in a restorative space means that it's like you always remember, you always build intentionally, right? You always build into the space of understanding self, by which you understand and recognize the shape and nature of what it is that one is trying to do. But you can turn the other cheek and walk away from something, because the identification point of turning the other cheek does not mean it's the space by which you remain somewhere to be perpetually slapped, right? The modality by which we articulate is the space by which, and I think that we often don't recognize this, right? Like we turn our back to things, right? We walk away from things that do not energetically serve us. And when we understand that, then we recognize and identify that the work that we do, right, is one by which we work into the context of effectively trying not, right? We understand the full context by which we effectively are working through, and it's not the modality by which we are energetically reactive in terms of what is occurring. And that's sometimes very difficult to observe, right? It's very easy, and this is often what happens in energy like this. It's very easy to want to build into things presumptuously. And that's why I would articulate, like, don't allow your energetic presumption to effectively cloud your intention, right? Which is the modality by which you don't allow, because and then that's the thing about it, like the ego, right? The ego desires for us to be presumptuous. The ego often clouds our energetic judgment because it's the modality by which, right? I like to point this out, the modality by which we see something in another, right? And when we're working in a healthy space, we often want to over-internalize it, right? But this is the thing about it, right? Over-internalizing things feeds unhealthy egos. And when you recognize that over-internalizing things feeds unhealthy egos, then it allows the space by which you energetically work through things in a way that allow one to be able to understand that sometimes that over-internalization is exactly the shape of having to heal from trauma that allows you to be able to do something better. So if, again, and I want to describe this right now because this energy, right, Jupiter in Cancer, okay, Jupiter in Cancer with the combination force of Uranus moving into, right, Uranus moving into Gemini, also with the observation of all the planets in Aries, it's very easy to desire to be energetically reactive in energy such as this, but the observation or the understanding of being able to identify and recognize the shape and nature of working through something in such a way that one is able to articulate or recognize the shape of one's intentions. Don't allow the purpose to energetically guide you. And I know that that sometimes can feel difficult, but right, the work in terms of doing that is the arrival point in terms of being able to predicate upon something that feels like it's very important. So just continue to do so and don't allow others' projections to affect you if you're working through those experiences. That is our daily collective read for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and receiving it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a private reading with me is if you book one on my site. So I would encourage you to do it there. A couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone for, thank you so much for everyone who participated in our recent tarot class. Our next tarot class will be held on Friday, April 17th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We are going to be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the court cards in the wand suit. If you are interested in taking that tarot class, all you need to do is head on over to my stack and become a paid subscriber. Your paid subscription to my stack is your ticket of entry into our live classes each and every month. You will also, as a paid subscriber, have access to over 9 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive. Now, it's not necessary to catch up. I'll be doing my best to give you an update on everything we've experienced, everything we've studied prior to having that class, but the material is there for you to receive as you're ready to receive it. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything we've learned and studied thus far. And if you become a founding member to my stack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, you'll also have access to over 9 hours worth of material you'll also have access to over 20 hours worth of material in the Tarot Church Library class archive, as well as the opportunity of having that discounted rate on the full year's worth of classes, as well as the opportunity of receiving a one-on-one mentorship class with me, where I will meet with you personally to assess where you are on your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage, moving towards your tarot goals going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice tarot reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. Don't let your lack of experience or your robust experience prevent you from joining us in these classes. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my stack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings or services. I also post my weekly newsletter there, which will let you know about my in-person events, as well as my online live schedule, as well as my mystic meditation articles, which will give you updates on everything that we have been experiencing astrologically based on the lunation cycle. I just wrote one recently on this full moon that we navigated. I also want to let you guys know that on top of my standard life path readings, I also offer mentorship classes. These are for any of my students seeking a more personalized educational experience with me. I take a very limited number of students for this reason, as those classes are focused on each individual's personal spiritual goals and journey work. Those classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly class series, weekly or bi-weekly, as your schedule permits. Also, for my students seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I am very happy to offer weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, again, weekly or bi-weekly, as your schedule permits, so that you can stay more consistent on your personal journey. I'm also very happy to now offer dream interpretation readings, which can be purchased per dream or as a series. If you purchase the series, I would encourage you to start to keep a dream journal, as we will meet weekly or bi-weekly with that journal and utilize the tarot to understand the key themes and messages coming towards you in the dream space. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again tomorrow. That is our daily collective read. We are going to get started on personal readings. Congratulations to Avatar. You came in first, so you'll have that additional card in your reading. And Bridget, you came in second, so thank you so much. Avatar, you'll have the full reading. Bridget, you will have an additional card in your reading. We are going to continue right now. If you would like to get on the list for today, you will be the fourth person, fifth person read for. It is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more. 4 cards for a donation of $23 or more for my subscribers. Binks in my bio. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. We're also got to 50K likes during that read. Thank you guys so much. I will be gifting a reading back to the collective, so make sure you're tapping that screen and we'll get to 50K in no time. And just reading over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. How you doing today, Luna? Hi there, Ryan. Oh, that's beautiful. Excellent. Well, make sure that you're putting any song choices over in the disco. Excellent. She gets all the feels. It's been so long. Good to see you today, Don't. I'm so glad to see that you're here and you found these readings. I'm here every day. Okay. This is hitting us deeply. Thank you. Absolutely, Bridget. Excellent. I've just been holding trauma's hard hand this time. I know exactly. I could just drop it. How are you doing today, Team Mulsana? And absolutely. Thank you as well, Ryan. Oh, look, there I am in my comfort zone. Yeah, reassurance that it will be better. Exactly. Absolutely. You're so welcome, Unique. How you doing today, Conchita? And thank you, Robin, for the follow. Aries lessons indeed. Yeah, day by day process. I know, sending you so much. I know it's hard right now, Bridget. And too much. Thank you for the follow. Frustration is a battle for me daily. Tap to claim. Yeah, don't let it define you. Find the lesson, beauty, and growth. Tap to claim as well. Absolutely. Know your battle already had. Thank you guys for supporting each other in the comments during these reads. Absolutely. Thank you. Very well said, Robin. Absolutely. Yeah, completely. And I don't think that this is the space. And here's the thing about it, right? The ability not to effectively ignore something, but to work through it is what we're all trying to do. Absolutely. And thank you so much for those gifts, Justice. How you doing today, Prices? Excellent. And thank you, Diana, for the follow. How you doing today, dear? Blessings to you as well, Logan. Hope you're having a good one. Thank you as well, Honorable. Absolutely. Exactly. I like that, Bridget. You got it. You got it completely. And thank you as well. It's okay. You know what? Here's the thing, Stella. I never get upset if individuals fall asleep when we're doing these readings, because I like to point out falling asleep is one of the nicest things you can do before another person, because it identifies the fact that you feel safe to do so. So even if this reading allowed you a space to rest, then thank you so much for that as well. And thank you so much, Dawn, for the follow. You're so welcome, Justice. I love it when I tune in. You're talking directly to me. Absolutely. Divine orchestration. Good to see you, Laurel. Grand Rising, dear. And thank you, Pana, for sharing the live. I feel like what I need most right now is really good solar plus. Yeah, that makes sense. But here's the thing about it. If you identify that that's what you need right now, then just be, I mean, like, this is what I need to define this, like, especially, right? Like, especially with Venus and Taurus, it can be hard to articulate what we need, but that's how and that's like that in itself, right? Like, talking about what we need is a chorus, right? Because when we articulate that, then we're able to effectively give each other those things, correct? Right? We give each other what's energetically needed. The list is open. And I've got you on it. I always watch. I mean, are you triggered by that word? I'm happy to unpack that word for you, Rita. I mean, you have to understand, it's an important word. You're going to hear, if you're here, you're going to hear me talking about modalities. Like, it's something that we need to address, because one of the biggest problems that we have right now in society is not recognizing that others, like the modalities by which others are perceiving things, changes conversation. So there's something to be explored there if you feel triggered by the word modality, because you have to understand, if you're not working through modalities, then you're often working through a monotropic experience by which you're expecting that everybody is thinking the same way that you yourself are, which can be energetically dangerous, right? Like, that's why we specifically bring that word into this conversation, because even one of the ways that we arrive into higher thought is recognizing that it's not the fact that we all have thoughts, but the framework by which we hold those thoughts changes the experience of having them. So I hope that helps you heal your relationship to that word, because there is no modality where I'm not going to continue to use the word modality, because there's intention in using it, because it's being used to articulate the fact that others may be experiencing something in a framework by which they themselves house that thought in a different way. I hope that helps. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm disconnecting from familial trauma environment. Exactly. No problem. It's my go ahead and write that dream down. Antonio, thank you for the follow. And thank you, Lauren, for the follow as well. Absolutely. I'm happy to read the list, Stella. So the list we have right now is we've got Yasmin, we've got Stella, Grace, and Avatar. And if anybody else wants to get on the list right now, you will be the 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th person read for. And thank you so much, Angel. And Marong, thank you for the follow. If I'm ever saying your name incorrectly, by all means, please feel free to correct me. Oh, that sounds beautiful, Rihanna. Ha, blessings to you as well, Alexandra. It's okay. I'll if you're not sure if the read if you are you saying that you're not sure if you're comfortable with the dream being read? You have to let me know, because I'll read the dream unless you identify the fact that you'd rather have the dream be inside T. Okay. Excellent. No problem, dear. And thank you as well. Yeah, but I'm glad to hear that that's how this reading left you feeling. Claircognizant, Kim. So claircognizant, there are different clairs. So clair seeing is like, there's clairvoyant, which is the ability to see something with clarity. Claircognizant is the space by which we arrive to thoughts, and we recognize like the understanding of thoughts that effectively come towards us, that help us build into the reading. So the thoughts that basically arrive as I'm reading, that allow me to be able to attenuate and see the modality by which you're energetically perceiving something. So claircognizant articulates into clear knowing. So the ability to kind of work into the space of seeing something in a way that one is able to bring knowledge to a situation. Yeah, I was wondering what that was about. Happy to answer it, dear. Fabulous description of the word modality. It's really important. And here's the thing about it. I feel like we need to talk about it more, because it's not a jargon word, right? I'm not articulating that as jargon. The fact that we live in a society that does not understand what a modality is one of the issues with the experience that we have. Because when we don't recognize that we're all holding different impressions upon things as we're experiencing or thinking about them, it changes your relationship to the modality by which you're viewing the framework of the thought. Yeah. Yeah, the consciousness of others, exactly. Like, it's an assumption to assume that everybody's living in the same modality that you yourself are. And a lot of the prejudice that we experience in this world is based upon the fact that we don't talk enough about the fact that we're all living in different modalities, which means we're experiencing things, but the modality by which we receive it could be very, very different. And thank you. Thank you for helping us get to 50K so early. But I need to point out the fact that it's triggering is important, right? Because, like, if it's triggering, it's important, because why is there trauma? Why is there trauma around that word if it's not often utilized? You know? Blessings to you as well, Phoenix. 5 of the Claires. You're like, I'm trying to collect them all. All right, we're going to continue right now. True, absolutely, Rana. I grew up thinking everyone, and here's a perfect example, right, Laura? Modalities, rigid modalities thrive on the fact that they don't want others to realize that there's other modalities. And this is why we talk about that here, because a healthy modality of thought is a choice. A healthy modality of thought, it doesn't mean that you alleviate yourself of the modality of thought. It's the fact that you recognize that you're viewing something from a modality. You know, like it's not like you don't need to shed them. You just need to know that it's there. You know. All right, we're going to continue right now. So we're going to do, no, poke. All right, so what we're going to do right now before we move into personal reads, and thank you for those who are joining us across the other sites. Hello there today, Jeshua. I hope you're having a beautiful day. And those who are joining us over on the photos. So we're going to get started on personal readings. If you would like to get on the list today, the list is open. It is 3 cards for a donation of $29 or more. Actually, never mind. The list is closed. The list is closed. We have a little bit of a short list today, but if you want to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll be the first person read for. You'll also have an additional card in your reading. You'll have first priority, which means that you will be read for before we start the daily collective. Before we begin, though, today's readings, I am going to do a giveaway. So I am thinking of a number right now between. I'm thinking right now of a number between 1 and 48. 1 and 48, please. And the first person I see that gives the number will have the reading. The first person I see, not the first person that posted. Bridget, congratulations, you got it. We'll do that again. We'll do that again after the next read, and that is available for you as well starting tomorrow. I'm going to take a moment to read over. The first person we're reading for today is going to be Yasmin. Yasmin, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. And before we continue right now, let's warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. I've got the animal spirit guide cards here. We're going to count back from 10, and when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got a raven. Thank you for participating. We'll do that again after the next reading. I guess I assumed all humans, but you can't, like, this is what we talk about, Avatar. We can't make assumptions, right? Like often, I like to point out, often the fallacy we experience is the fallacy of assumption, which is the modality by which we assume another recognizes that, which is often the space by which we accidentally, inadvertently prevent another person's learning, right? We don't articulate these things enough, you know? All right, so we're going to continue right now. The first person that we're reading for, second call for Yasmin. Second call for Yasmin. And if Yasmin is not here, the next person that we're reading for today is going to be Stella. Stella, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you would like a general reading or if you have a specific question you would like me to answer. I got you, dear. So I just a moment to read over some of the comments on this read, so just bear with me a moment. Yeah. I got you, dear. I got you. All right, let's get to it. All right. So we are we're doing a reading right now to get clarity on, it's basically, so I feel like what we're giving you right now, Stella, is an aura reading. So we're getting an aura reading to kind of understand the shape and nature of potentially what has been an energetic hurdle on your own path work. So let's get to it. All right. Yeah, got it. And two more, please. And one more. So I have to stress, I keep on seeing there's something really important that I'm identifying in relationality to a lot of the experiences that I see that you're healing from that are specifically the best way I can describe it. The best I can describe it is you're healing from a lot of fragile energy. And I like to point out, like, I just want to show you some of these cards to give you clarification. Fragile energy cultivates energy that will not challenge things. You know, fragile energy will look like fragile energy will aspire to create in another, right? The modality of being perpetually appealing. Right? And it's a continuation of a lot of the stuff that we saw in the daily collective. Because, and I just want to attenuate into this, the modality by which we recognize and observe that, and I like to describe this like the fragility that is required in another, in the space by which you effectively attenuate into the ability of being energetically appealing, right? Like I almost see energy that was more invested in creating some kind of aesthetic, a curb appeal in you than actually caring about you truly learning something is all I keep on seeing. And what I need to point out about curb appeal is the modality by which, and you'll probably notice this, like the space by which another person was, you saw over and over again, the fact that somebody tried to diminish any good thought that you had, or like, and I keep on getting like, oh, you're thinking again. Like, oh, what are you doing thinking again? Oh, what are you doing thinking again? Like the way you'll probably notice that is probably best attenuated from circumstances and situations by way or by means of understanding and recognizing the space by which another person potentially arrived to you in a way that was not energetically respective of the thoughts that you had, but trying to energetically clear you for having thoughts in the first place. And we see this in relationality too. And I just see this in relationality to a lot of the energy that was surrounding you, or the modality by which you potentially had to work through, right? Circumstances or situations by which you yourself have attenuated to the modality by which, right? The space by which another person, right? The space by which another person questions intelligence is not due to the fact of having the space by which your intelligence should be questioned, but the fact that they're not respective of another having intelligence in the first place. So we see that this is a lot of the shape of the energy that you're potentially healing from, because the modality of the fragility that we identify specifically around you, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you came out of that feeling incredibly self-conscious or having a really bad opinion in relationality to how your brain works, because I just keep on seeing, and you're about to figure out what a genius you are, right? You're about to figure out exactly how smart you are because you're already actively doing it. You're doing something that is energetically exceptional. And the modality by which you're working through the exceptionality, the way that you're going to be able to see that and attenuate to it is the observation of the energy around you that is potentially flabbergasted, right? Because the reason that they're energetically flabbergasted is because, right, you always had that intellect within you. You always had that energetic prowess within you. You always contained that energetic intelligence. But because the energy was not invested in listening to you, right? Because every time you tried to energetically speak up, right, what they actually are coming to realize or recognize, and this is going to feel kind of tragic for them as they experience that, they missed the opportunity. They missed the opportunity of a lifetime in being able to speak to you because they were so concerned about what you were saying being energetically unappealing, right? And I keep on seeing what's hard for some of that energy is recognizing and realizing that they potentially missed out on the conversation of a lifetime. And what do we mean by understanding that one misses out on the conversation of a lifetime? It's the space by which another energetically dismisses us, right? The modality or the experience by which another does not recognize, understand the divinity that resides within, or the intellect that is contained, right? But often the space by which another tries to diminish another person's like that sees somebody like more as less as like a peer and more as something that appeals, makes their experience more appealing, right? I wouldn't be surprised if you potentially experience that energy trying to avoid you, because the avoidance that we're identifying here is the energy coming into a space of, I keep on seeing like I've got like a lot of their, like I've seen somebody with their heads down, right? Because the reason that their heads are down has to do with the fact that the energy recognizes that they can't have a conversation with you because they're too energetically fragile to have it, right? The modality by which, right, and again, in the space by which there's some energy that is so fragile that they can't have conversations with others that know more than them because they only look for conversations by which they can talk down to things, right? The modality by which they can cast their authority down into things that often creates the space that when you lose that, right? When you lose that peer-to-peer connection is often attenuated in the space of recognizing and identifying someone that truly values a balanced conversation, right? So I wouldn't be surprised if you notice an attenuation of that separation point that's potentially occurring because the energy, right? Fragile energy, when they meet a peer, become energetically intimidated. Bottom of the deck on this reading, yeah, like this is Temperance card in its reversal. So I wouldn't be surprised, right? I wouldn't be surprised right now. I wouldn't be surprised right now if you're potentially going through, right? I wouldn't be surprised right now if you're potentially going through those experiences by which, right? Like going through the experiences by which, and I keep on hearing something about the fact of someone holding an apology in their throat. And sometimes energy that knows that they hold an apology in their throat would rather avoid than have to face the energetic apology. So I feel like there's something very interesting about that, because I feel like there's something that we're seeing there by which, like, I keep, like, remember when I said, like the space by which the energy is potentially working to avoid, it's because I keep on, like, the thing about it is there are some apologies we can't give because the space and nature by which we give the apology, effectively what it shows about ourselves, is so difficult or damaging to recognize that we would rather avoid the energy than give the apology to the person, is what I keep on seeing. So I feel like there's a lot of that energy there, right? Because I keep on saying, how do you say to somebody, sorry, like, sorry I treated you like that. I was just looking to make you more appealing, is what I keep on hearing. Like, how do you have an, like, that, like, do you understand how crazy that says, that experience feels in the context by which another person says it, you know? Like, that's why I would be surprised, like, even as I'm having this reading, like, there goes that throat chakra, like, the energy, like, that works through, you know, like, that's why they're going to potentially see you, like, they're going to be incredulous, because it's the incredulity of the fact that they did not recognize it and they tried to actively diminish it. Thank you so much for having that reading with me, Stella. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. If you would like to get on the list is open. It is 3 cards for a donation of 29 or more, 4 cards for a donation of 23 or more for my subscribers, being semi-lyo. Please keep in mind there are 3 things I do not read for across these apps: pregnancy, medical, and legal. Happy to give insight on anything in private readings, and you can book private readings on my site. Hold on a moment. Hi there from Trinidad, welcome. And just reading over. Hmm. I love all the statements that come up when we pull the Raven card. It's funny. Yep, an absolutely beautiful conversation. Excellent. I feel you. I feel for you. I feel let that in. I let that in someone I care do a lot of. Oh, sending you support, Avatar. I grew up like this. Sending you support as well, Rihanna. Yeah, I have encountered someone who takes a person's physical appearance as a way of a person's intelligence, right? It's devastating when you encounter that, right? Yeah, we're finally getting seen here. I do my best, Rihanna. Thank you for being here, receiving these messages. Um, you know, I need to point out, Joshua used to use divination all the time, KW. Like, you've literally, like, go look at the book. Like, a lot of the work, like, Joshua was literally channeling. And look what, like, look what Joshua did when they went to save Mary Magdalene. They wrote in the dirt. Like, it's the same thing. I'll also point out, if you open up your Bible, for inspiration, you're also doing divination. Opening a book at random to find courage, that's bibliomancy. So if you have a problem with these cards, because this is basically a book without binding, so if you have a problem with these cards, then you also can't open up your book to find encouragement, because that's also divination. I just want to make sure that we're on the same page about that. Thank you. Yeah, I would never want to speak to a younger individual like they did to me. No, well, that's what I mean about it, right? Like the space by which I keep on saying the way you'll get confirmation is every time you try to articulate a feeling about something, they tried to diminish your opinion upon it. Like that is energy that was trying to get you in a space of questioning your own intelligence rather than hearing what you had to say. You know, we've all seen it. Laurel, this was the reality for decades. Unfortunately, oh, I'm sending you so much support, Laurel. It's really difficult when we see somebody in unhealthy cycles like that. And Adam, thank you for those gifts. Yes, I've come across many people that are this way. Yeah, I let them speak. I mean, what else can you do, right? Little bit? Absolutely. Hold on a minute. Just reading over the comments. And support to anybody who connected to this message, because I know it's a heavy one. Yeah. We deserve better. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean that energy that was more invested on how you appear and how you carry yourself than what was contained within the self. Right? Like the energy that was working more towards the way, like the external self instead of the internal health of the self. Yes, your thoughts are embarrassing. Yeah, stop sharing them. Exactly. Sending you support, Rihanna, if you experience that. Absolutely. That burns when someone tries to make it more palatable and very hurtful experience. Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Yeah, thank you, Rihanna. Exactly. I need to stress this. Actually, Rihanna, I need to confirm. Yahshua did not create the Bible. We just need to clarify that. Yahshua did not create the Bible. The Bible is literally the different evangelicals perceiving the experience of receiving the message. So when we recognize that, then we understand that even in the modality by which, right, nothing in the Bible are Yahshua's stated words, because Yahshua did not write them down, versus it's the evangelicals that transcribe the messages, right? So that's important to pay attention to there as well. Absolutely. Yeah. Why would they want me to question my own intelligence? Well, I keep on seeing it. I keep on seeing, right, the modality by which another person said, those thoughts make you less appealing, right? The modality by which the energy, I keep on seeing you had a lot of like seen and not heard energy around you growing up, which is the energy that was not necessarily invested in cultivating your intellect so much as you being in the space of being more energetically appealing. Is what I keep on seeing. Thank you so much for having this reading, dear, and I hope these messages help. All right, we're going to continue right now. The next person on the list right now is going to be, we've got Grace. Grace, if you're here, can you respond in all caps? Let me know if you'd like a general reading or if you have a specific question you'd like me to answer. And if anybody else would like to get on the list right now, you will be the third person read for. How are you doing today, dear? You said we're doing a dream interpretation, correct? Kat, the list is closed today, but if you want to get on the list for tomorrow, you'll be, actually, if you want to get on the list for Tuesday, Tuesday, if you want to get on the list for Tuesday, you will be the first person, you'll have priority before the Daily Collective begins. Absolutely. Yep, I got you, dear. Okay, so I'm going to read. So, guys, I'm going to use the coconut. Okay. I'm going to read. We got the coconut coming through. But I also need to, one of the things we need, the things we recognize here is I need to take a moment to read over this because what we're effectively identifying is I need to see if this reading is something, if this dream, there's a sensitivity here. The person having the dream would prefer the information not be shared. So just bear with me as I read over the information. And as we wait, comment, how are you giving back to yourself? How are you giving back? How are you celebrating the work that you're doing today for yourself, right? How are you giving back to yourself right now? Okay. Mm, okay. All right. So I can understand why you are feeling hesitancy in sharing it. It's a triggering shadow work dream. So let's see what we can find out about it. Before we continue, though, we are going to warm up those intuition muscles with an intuition check. All right, I've got the animal spirit guide card here. We're going to count back from 10, and when we get to 1, I will reveal the card. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We got the fox energy. Thank you. We'll do that again after the next reading. Four cards, please. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. So I feel like the one thing I need to point out that is difficult about this dream, and I feel like this is a like the work that I see that's happening in the stream is related to a lot of the work that I see that you're doing in the terrestrial right now in navigating the energetic difficulty of your gift. And one of the things that we talked about is like when we are able to effectively, like the identification of being able to pick up on others' thoughts. And remember how I articulated, and this was important yesterday, remember how I articulated upon the difference between energetic passing thoughts versus versus what we effectively hold. The dream itself effectively, and this is why I'm identifying it specifically as a shadow work dream. Now, I want to identify that the first thing I need to articulate about dreams is that there's nothing in a dream that we can experience that we haven't already experienced, right? So I want you to look at the dream from the framework of the dream helping you process past trauma, something that has already occurred, and that the state or nature of the fact that the guides are bringing it forth in a way that makes it more visible helps you see the full shape of intention of what you're healing from. And I'm going to tell you right now, this is a dream that's helping you heal from a very, very toxic relationship. A very, very toxic relationship that you experienced. And why do we see the toxicity in the dream space? Now, again, I am going to have to reveal some aspects of the dream in the space by which I articulate and explain it. So are you comfortable with me sharing some of, not all of it, but just the spaces that are energetically necessary? Okay? The first part that we identify is the fact that you said you're in a car and you don't know where you're going. So that's being in a relationship with no clear manifestation goal that has been articulated. A relationship by which somebody says, just trust me, right? And the modality of understanding and recognizing that healthy relationships are not trust falls, right? There's no relationship in existence that is amplified and articulated upon a trust fall. A trust fall is not a manifestation goal, okay? So we see that immediately that there's already a lot of shadow work that's occurring in the space of the dream by which you're effectively attenuating a relationship that you effectively felt afraid in because you didn't know what the ultimate destination was. This is further obfuscated by the fact that you said you couldn't see their face. Of course you couldn't see their face, because the modality by which we know ourselves is able to impress upon each other what those intentions are. And the shape and the force of our intentions help us to attenuate and articulate upon our energetic intention. So what do we see that is effectively occurring here? We see a modality by which, right, first thing we identify, the first thing that we see is an experience by which we see and recognize the fact that you're healing from a trauma with in a relationship by which I wouldn't be surprised if you continually asked that person like where the relationship was going and they were being evasive, right? Every time you did it, they would effectively try and change the subject, which is why you couldn't see their face. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a relationship at which every time you asked, they disappeared or they left, right? Which says that the only way that the relationship can continue is if you don't ask questions. So again, doubly dangerous relationship cycle because you're experiencing the modality by which you don't know where it's going, and every time you ask where it's going, the person energetically disappears on you. You then said, right, and that's the thing about it, it's a relationship with nothing, right? Because it's the space by which one says, as long as you're comfortable with nothing, then you can have the energetic relationship, which is why you identified the fact that it felt almost cartoonish in the fact that you couldn't see that person's face or expression. You then identified the fact that there was a very, I wanted you described, hold on. Yeah, and so the space by which you identified the fact that the energy, and I want to describe this, you identified the fact that the energy in the car with you was trying to push your head out a window, right? Which is the observation of potentially forcing you to look at anything else beside the relationship, right? Which is the space by which another person was potentially articulating or amplifying to you, right? Like the space by which you could potentially try to ask them for energetic directions and instead they pushed you out, which is the space by which, again, every time you potentially articulated to them, right, that you weren't comfortable, or the modality by which you potentially articulated to them that you didn't know the direction of the relationship and they kept disappearing, right? The fact that they were forcing you to look out the window was the modality that said, would you rather be out there or in here, right? Like the modality of someone who effectively was perpetually in a space of criticizing others, right? Somebody who like was in a space by which they were perpetually always criticizing others, but again, disappearing every time there was a conversation in relationality to being able to attenuate or articulate upon what was going on with the relationship. So again, we see all of like everything about this dream is the amplification point of the most toxic relationship you could ever find yourself in, right? Because it's the observation of the fact that the energy, right, like their perception on things, right, their perception was one that you didn't agree to, which is why you saw them pushing your head out the window, because it's the energy that says either you see things like, not only do you not talk about the relationship, and not only do you not ask where it's going, but you have to see things from the same perspective that they see things, or again, you felt like there was going to be a fight, right? The perception by which another person says, like, not only do you have to experience something, but you have to perceive things the same way that I do, or else it's going to be an energetic problem between us. You then said, right? And that's the hard part, because often, and I need to point out, one of the things you identified was the fact that there was like an unhealthy vibration there as it related to, right, the determination point in terms of why an energy desire, like why that relationship was there. And often I want to point out, sometimes the space by which we're in a relationship like that feels like we only exist to satisfy another person, which is again the greatest fear that you're potentially identifying in this relationship, which is the modality by which another person, potentially being in an experience in a relationship with someone that did not see you as a whole person, but just saw you there to effectively satisfy them, rather than building into a healthy relationship. So we said that all you could do, right? You even identified the fact that you said that, and I want to stress this, that you said that you felt like you woke up in the dream space, right? And the moment by which, right, the moment by which you described that shock was potentially the identification point of feeling the energetic shock when you recognized or realized, right, that the relationship was like, we all describe, I describe this as the shell of a relationship, right? A shell of a relationship, because there's nothing holding it together, right? The shock of being in a shell of a relationship, by which there's nothing there that actually speaks towards the fabric of healthy partnership, because the fabric of healthy partnership is built upon healthy energetic enmeshment, right? It's the work that we effectively arrive to or we build into that allows us to feel energetically supportive within it. So the modality by which you potentially arrive to the understanding that there was nothing about the relationship that was enmeshed, but rather the modality of another that was potentially articulating, like trying to identify, right, trying to utilize the terminology of a relationship, right, but not giving you any of the nourishing things that would be required to be within one. That was the modality by which you identified that, and you even described this. You said that, you felt like there was that weirdness. Now, the weirdness that we potentially identify there was you potentially going through that experience in the past, by which, right, like I keep on saying, I wouldn't be surprised if there were experiences with that relationship by which another person tries to articulate upon the sentiment that they found there, but you potentially indicating to another, right, and this is what often happens with those relationships, like the modality by which you recognize, right, that was the shock that you felt, because it's a modality by which you recognize that the enmeshment isn't there, that created the ability to build into something in a way that helped you to be able, in order to heal it. And so the guides are potentially bringing this forth, bottom of the deck, yeah, particularly with the world, right, the world in its reversal. The thing with the world in its reversal, and I want to describe this, like, and this is often, like, I need to point this out, the guides don't bring these these dreams to us to hurt us, right? But it's really important to remember that anything that we experience in the dream space, we've already experienced. This is something that happened to you, right? This is something that in one way, shape, or form you potentially experience, and the ability of the guides putting it in a space by which it's tangible is helping you to effectively heal it, because it's helping you to recognize how, I wouldn't be surprised if you left that situation and another person made you feel embarrassed or angry because they tried to attenuate that you were asking for things and you were being crazy for asking for them. But the modality by which you recognize that often, right, often the space by which another person refuses to answer and says, like, you broke it, is often the space by which it deserves to be broken, because it's a modality by which, right, that would have been a relationship that required you. I keep on hearing, like, a healthy relationship does not require you to be like unable to speak, unable to see, or unable to energetically feel, but you are seeing all of those things that were happening in the context of the relationship or the car, which is saying, like, it's okay, right? Like, it's like the reason that you're seeing that is the guide saying you've overcome that, right? You wouldn't be having that dream if you weren't free of that, right? And that's why the guides are potentially showing it to you, because they're showing you the full extent of what you experience, so that you can continue to move deeper into energetically healing it. Thank you so much for having that reading with me. And if this message connected to you as well, it's very common for those who need these messages to be here to experience them. We are doing personal readings right now. The list is closed today, but if you'd like to get on the list, you'll be able to get on the list for Tuesday, and you'll also be the first. You'll also have priority, which means you'll be read for before we start the Daily Collective. I'm going to take a moment to read over some of the comments that came through as I was reading. Just a moment, reading the comments. Hi there. Blessings to you as well, sister. Thank you for encouraging everyone to tap, Brianna. Yeah, it was a shadow work dream for sure. Yeah, I know. It's a dark dream. And thank you guys for supporting each other in the live. I know sometimes these bring up a lot of feelings. Jesse, thank you for sharing the live as well. Yeah. Hi there. How are you doing today? Yes. And Shanae, hi, welcome. If I'm ever saying your name incorrectly, please feel free to correct me. And thank you as well for supporting each other. Not disagreeing with you, all true. I think, like, I don't know, I don't see this, I have to stress this, because I don't see this as a co-dream or a channel, because the energy that you see within the dream space did not have a face. So it feels like it's helping you work through personal trauma that you potentially had in a relationship like this, is what I keep on seeing. Yeah. Yeah, to satisfy one person. 1,000,000%, you know who this is. Okay. It was like, okay, so you saw an angelic portrait of two fingers touching, right? And I feel like that's almost the guide saying that they were helping you. Like, your ability to articulate upon what you were seeing allowed you to effectively, I wouldn't be surprised if you had to leave a situation like that by which another person tried to tell you that you were the reason that something wasn't working. But I keep on seeing, if they were being like, the unreasonableness of another person not wanting to talk to you about what the future holds was what was effectively healing there. Yeah. And thank you guys for supporting each other. Mm-hmm. You are holding up the whole relationship. Absolutely. Thank you guys. I know that these reads are heavy. Hi there, Nonbinary. How are you doing today? Again, we'd have to dive deeper into what those symbols mean. That might require a whole different reading. All right, we're going to continue right now. The next person on the list for today is, so I was actually going to ask Avatar. I'm on a bit of a shortened time frame today. So I wanted to see Avatar, would you be comfortable? Would you be comfortable with moving your reading to Tuesday? Just let me know. You're so welcome, dear. Oh, I appreciate that. Excellent. All right. That said, we are going to get started right now on. We are going to get started right now on the 1-card readings for superfans, and for superfans and for those who are joining us over on the place where we keep the videos. Also for the paid members there as well. So if you have a question that you would like me to answer, just go ahead and put the question in the chat. And please remember, if you're joining us over on the place where we keep, over on the clock app, to recharge your heart knees, if you would like an animal oracle card on top of your 1 cards. Also a reminder to those who are potentially joining us over on the place where we keep the photos. If you would also like, we unfortunately can't give memberships there right now, but we're trying to work towards that. So if you want to give me a follow there and comment followed, I'll be happy to thank you for that by reading you an affirmation from a guide for the advanced soul. And further, if you've already following me there and would like to, if you would also like an affirmation, if you share this live with 3 individuals and just comment share it, I'll be happy to do so as well. Excellent. John, I need to tell you, it's not polite to fill the chat with the comment on repeat. So I'm going to go ahead and mute you. Also, these are 1-card readings for superfans, so just be conscientious of that next time you want to communicate the way that we communicate, and that we're respectful of the chat space. And trying to dominate the chat space by repeating your question over and over again is not the way that you get a question responded to. It's also really not respectful to those that are trying to utilize and communicate in that environment. Thank you. Excellent. Hi there. Baked. Both. I can do readings. I can do readings for both those energies. It's not not a blocker. Thank you for the follow, Joan. I got you, Laurel. Hold on a minute. Highest party for Laurel, please. We've got the 10 of Swords in its upright. So what I'm identifying with the 10 of Swords in its upright here, and I want to stress this, I feel like there's like, I feel like there's like, I just keep on getting, there's some energy around you right now. Like, I don't know why, like, I have to stress this. Energy that tries to build into relationships, like utilizing intimidation, like I can't stress that it's just like, it's the weirdest energy, I just keep on hearing like a healthy relationship, like isn't isn't it isn't an intimidation zone. Like bottom of the deck, yeah, especially especially with 2 of Cups in its reversal. You know what I mean? Like it's giving me like, I never understand energy like that. Because I like to point out, like, it's like some energy has never experienced dread in their life. Like I describe those as like when we're in a healthy space, we don't determine things based on dread. We make decisions based upon what is energetically healthy or supportive, is what I keep on seeing. And I feel like there's something important there in terms of navigating, like the shape. I keep wondering, like the shape and nature of. I don't know why I keep on hearing the words honoring each other's choices. Animal spirit guide. Yeah, particularly with the fox energy. Like I like the thing about, like, I want to stress this, like the fox energy is often working through um, the amplification of helping like I feel like it's almost like, I'm not sure what I'm seeing there, but it's like I keep on hearing it's not your job to facilitate upon another's choices. It's like we help each other hold responsibility towards them lovingly, is what I keep on getting. So make sure, like, make sure that you're returning that energy back to yourself as well, is what I keep on seeing. Because if some, you know this, if somebody wants to misunderstand you, then nothing you say, right? Like, let them misunderstand you with it, you know? Like, if someone wants to misunderstand you, let them misunderstand you with it. Because, and I like to point this out, like, that's often energy that has to experience, like, working through the space of an eggshell dance in relationality to what's around them. You know, it's like, it's giving me a little bit of, like, it's giving me a little bit of this, like even in that, a blessing. Alexandra, one card on divine counterpart. We've got the Seven of Pentacles here. I think there's something important with this Seven of Pentacles energy. And I think that it is, like, what I'm basically seeing with this Seven of Pentacles is I feel like I see somebody that is not going to require, like, I see a situation of someone who does not require your undivided, and I know you're going to probably appreciate this, someone that does not require your undivided attention is what I keep on seeing. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, I feel like this is something that is, like, I feel like this is something that I see you working through right now. Particularly and especially with this World card, because, and I want to stress this, undivided attention, right? Like, energy that desires undivided attention is often obsessive energy, right? Like, that's what we potentially see. It's the modality by which one tries to create the space by which we don't, like, it doesn't require obsession to be healthy. But I keep on seeing you and your counterpart are going to be, like, animal spirit guide. Yeah, mutually obsessed with each other in the best way possible, because I just keep on seeing that it's the understanding, it's the understanding of working through things, but working through things in ways that we ourselves are able to, like, the space by which we're energetically obsessed with each other, because we don't, like, I keep on hearing, like, we don't need to do everything. Like, I see you saying another person, like, you don't need to always, like, do everything together, because it's a healthy, like, I keep wondering, that's the sign of a healthy obsession, because it's amplified and articulated by being able to trust each other as you navigate through things, is what I keep on seeing. Avatar, highest priority, please, for Avatar. We've got the King of Swords and it's upright. You're moving towards energy that's going to treat you right. Bottom of the deck. Yeah, especially with this, like, Four of Swords in its reversal. there's something there I'm seeing. Like the Four of Swords in its reversal is like I feel like there's something important about that, right? Like I feel like I see you moving into healthy relationship, but also having to say, like, I keep on hearing somebody say, like, I don't know why I keep on hearing somebody say, like, you know, knowing you made me a better person, being like, and here's the animal spirit guide. Yeah, being like, you should have been a better person in the first place, is what I keep on getting. I've got some kind of energy of someone saying, like, you made me a better person, and being like, that's sometimes the worst thing you hear somebody say, because it's the energy that says, I acknowledge how awful I was to you, being like, thanks, that's great. I'm glad to hear it. Like, you're welcome. Like, great. Yeah, see you around. You have fun. You have fun with that, is what I keep on seeing. I don't understand some energy. I really don't. Let's continue. Okay. And Lee, thank you for the follow. I love that. One love, tap to claim. Yeah, gross. Sending you support, Laurel. Sending you so much support on that journey. And Manjali, thank you for the follow. If I'm ever saying your name incorrectly, by all means, please feel free to correct me. I got you, Ella. Highest priority, please. We've got the Eight of Swords in its upright. So I think there's something important with that Eight of Swords in its upright, bottom of the deck. Yeah, the King of Wands, bottom of the deck there. I feel like there's something important to be navigated in relationality to having a healthy conversation with someone. Like I just keep on hearing somebody having a conversation that says, I keep on hearing adulthood is not building into adulthood is about making mutual decisions together, right? Which is not the space by which, like, it's not the space by which we say, articulate upon not feeling energetically inclined to do something, but rather the space by which we understand that like we amplify and articulate upon the energetic investment in terms of helping to work through, and like our presence, I keep on hearing our presence is prescient and necessary. And what do I mean by our presence is prescient and necessary? Which is the modality by which, it's the modality by which we articulate upon building into being prescient, that helps us basically, like, what do I mean by prescient? Prescient is not just, like, I keep wondering, prescient is not just fulfilling the obligation of being somewhere. Like, I keep wondering, the conversation needs to be the difference between present and prescient, because present is fulfilling the obligation of being somewhere. Prescient is being actively invested in what you are experiencing. So that's what I feel like. I feel like somebody needs to have a conversation with someone about the difference between present and prescient. Lo, the list is closed today. These are one card readings for super fans if you'd like to become a super fan. I've got you, Ava. Good to see you today. Oh, Lord. Okay, hold on. I got you, dear. One card for Ava. I mean, you're delving into past life stuff. Like, so, I mean, like, when we move into past life energy, like, one of the ways we can usually tell that there's something from the past life coming up is when we suddenly have a fear that wasn't there before, and being like, where'd that come from, right? Yeah, like that's the hard part with building into past life connection is sometimes, um, wait, this is an energetic past life connected to a divine counterpart, is what I'm getting. Yeah. And so it's interesting because um, I feel like there's something about that I'm seeing specifically. Hold on a minute. In relationality, it's not okay, so hold on. It's not your fear, it's their fear of something that happened to someone that they cared about, that they then tried to energetically impress upon you. Sorry, I know that that's very like I just needed to clarify upon it because I just kept on getting it's not, it's tangentially connected to you based upon like based upon another's energetic anxiety that they were trying to impress upon you. Thank you. Yeah, the animal spirit on it. Yeah, it's a bee. Yeah, that's why. Because like it's somebody holding, like it's almost like somebody holding you even more energetically preciously is what I keep on seeing. Thank you. Oh, thank you, Rihanna. I got you, Tiff. One card, highest priority, please. Ace of Cups in its reversal. Don't let somebody get you over emotional about something. You know? Um, yeah, man, especially as it relates to something in the past. Like I feel like there's something important about that. Bottom of the deck, yeah, especially this horse energy. Um, the thing I'm observing there is how do I describe this? Um, you know, it feels like somebody, like I need to point this out, like somebody being like it's not always the easiest when another person it feels like it's specifically connected to a Sagittarian. I like to point this out. Sometimes Sagittarians heal through humor, right? Like Sagittarian energy often has this tendency of healing through humor, and sometimes it can feel unhealthy to others. So it almost feels like you having to explain to another why somebody like navigating something with mirth is how they're choosing to deal with it. It's like you having to have a conversation with someone that everyone deals with trauma differently, if that makes sense. Yeah. Hi there, Net. I'm not sure what you mean by that. I need you to be a little bit more specific. I know. Good to see you, Ella. Hope you're well. All right, my friends. So we've reached the conclusion of the reads for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing them. We will be back on Tuesday for the Daily Collective. If you get on the list today, then you will have priority on Tuesday, which means you'll be read for before we start the Daily Collective. You'll also be the second person read for. Avatar, you'll be first and you have priority. For anybody who became a follower or a subscriber today, welcome. I would encourage you to head over to our Superfan Only Disco channel, introduce yourself to the collective. You can also, when you're there, if you message me directly from here, I can send you an invite to that disco. Also, when you're there in the perks section, you'll find a special coupon code that will give you a discount to that tarot class subscription program. Our next class will be held on Thursday. It will be held Friday, April 17th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be continuing our studies into the tarot with a focus on the court cards and the wand suit. I want to thank you guys so much for being here today and sharing in these messages. Huge thank you to my followers, old and new. Thank you for being here today and sharing in these messages. Huge thank you to my subscribers and for my members over on the place where we keep the videos. Your ongoing support means the absolute world to me. And the biggest thank you to my mods. I hope you guys have a beautiful day. Please take care of yourselves. Please take care of one another. And we will do this again on Tuesday. Have a great day, everyone.